It's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick Guerilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than rev counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pasco, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, Guerilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. We would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, Guerilla cricket.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the second day of the first test between England and Pakistan at Lord's. Talk, Knackle.
Yes, yet again, England have struggled on a first morning at Lord's. They won the toss. Tick. They chose to bat. Some people think cross. At best, semi-tick. They lost 5 for 19 after tea to be bowled out for 184, and Pakistan batted sensibly in the conditions and are 50-4-1 double cross.
Yeah, I mean, England did beat the bat quite a lot in the last session, as you would expect them to do, really, in overcast conditions with a new ball, but they couldn't quite pick up the wickets that they needed to drag themselves back into the first day. So definitely day one to Pakistan.
Yep, not helped by Ben Stokes dropping Haris Sahel when he was on 16.
Yeah, it wasn't really his catch, was it?
No, he dived right in front of Davin Malan. But having made the dive, you have to trust your instincts as a slip fielder, and Ben Stokes has better instincts and better hands than most. Trust your instincts. You can't back out of the dive once you've gone into it. But having got there, he had to hold it, and really by that point, Malan was completely unsighted.
Yep. So you're listening to Guerilla Cricket. My name is not Fred Titmus. On my right, doing the jingles and providing some excellent insight, it's Knackle M. Pandey, at Knackle M. Pandey.
Hi, everybody.
And on my left, a newbie, the first time you've been on mic?
Indeed so.
It's Batless. Good morning, Batless.
Morning, everyone. Morning, Fred. Morning, Knackle.
And he'll be reading your tweets, so do send in some tweets to give him something to do, otherwise he's wasted his time. So, well, England have got, I mean, we've said it a million times before, but it's a very important first hour for England. They've got, the ball is not that new, but the conditions should be reasonably bowler friendly. The overhead conditions are cloudy, although not quite as low cloud as we had yesterday. And well, they're gonna need a breakthrough early.
Certainly, if they allow Azhar Ali and Haris Sahel to bat themselves in like they did last night, this could be an extremely long day or more for England. Opening up the bowling for England this morning and trying to get them that early breakthrough we were talking about is this man. took the 1 wicket yesterday, the LBW of Imam-ul Haq, which was initially not given not out, but was overturned on review, as it was revealed to be indeed pitching in line.
Yeah, it was a good review, actually. Broad is not always... he's often been certain of that things would go in his favour on review when they haven't been, but that one worked pretty well. I was quite surprised to see that England are still favourites for this game, with a certain betting exchange, which, I don't know, maybe an opportunity for people who are interested in backing Pakistan. Anyway, the first over of the day will be bowled by Stuart Broad from the nursery end, and there will be 4 slips, or 3.5 slips, as there's a gap between the third and fourth. And the batsman on strike, we will jingle up after the first ball. Broad, right arm around the wicket to this as yet unnamed left-handed batsman. He's in and bowls outside the off stump, left through to Bairstow, and it's this chap.
If you want a man, bowling left on spin.
Yeah, Harry Sohail, who dug in yesterday. He scored 21 off 51 balls. He was beaten a couple of times, as I've said, but actually, who was dropped? Was it?
It was Harris.
It was Harris
on
yeah.
16.
Yeah, that was a genuine outside edge. The crowd still, it's reasonably good. It looks about 50% full at the moment, but it's always difficult to get into Lord's for a test match day because they take forever to check your stuff. As Broad comes in and bowls a full ball, and it's driven, not entirely timed, by Harris, picks out the man, a short extra cover. Has anyone joined us on the tweets yet this morning?
They have. Dave Wood is encouraging everybody to overload me, which is nice of him.
Yeah, metaphorically speaking. Yes, so 50 for 1 Pakistan, trailing by 134, and Harris Sohail is on 21. Broad, some of his overs yesterday were too wide and they weren't making the batsman play enough, and also a little bit too short as he comes in and bowls. And this is a full ball outside the off stump. It was well wide and it went further away, and Harris did essay a drive at it, missed it completely. It was too wide really to be playing that shot.
Should just say that as well on Twitter. We are on YouTube. As far as we know, we are still kicked off Facebook Live, but we are on YouTube. I will share the link from our Twitter feed momentarily. And
also our Facebook page, perhaps?
I think we can't get into our Facebook page.
Oh, okay, right.
It was noticeable that Pakistan seamers bowled much fuller and much straighter than either Broad or Anderson really managed consistently.
Broad had a couple of overs early doors as he comes in and bowls, and this is on off stump, and it's a gap is found in the offside by Harris, who takes the first run of the morning at 51 for 1. Any more from the Twitter sphere?
Not really. Only people commenting that we can be followed on YouTube because Facebook have decided to ban us. Rather
an odd decision. Probably done automatically rather than by a person making a decision. Anyway, the batsman who's come on to strike now is this chap.
My name is Asha Ali. Nobody I'd rather be.
Yep, and he's right-handed. Broad will still have 4 slips to the right-hander as the slope will be taking it away from the ball away from him, and this is an off stump. This may have been angled in slightly towards him. He finds a gap behind square on the leg side. They've taken 1, they're going to come back for 2. They make it comfortably, so Azhar will be pleased to get off the mark so early on the second morning.
Azhar was completely in his element yesterday. There was absolutely no pressure to score quickly or indeed score at all, and he was just batting.
Yeah, and they have all the time in the world. We're looking at a replay of that drop chance yesterday. It was an absolute ball from Anderson that turned him around completely and got the outside edge. It flew very quickly to second slip, but third slip decided to get in the way. It would have been a comfortable catch from Milan, I think. There's no guarantee he would have taken it, but it was sort of midriff height. He had both hands there. And,
he got himself into the perfect position to take the catch.
And Stokes pushed it round the post. Broad to complete the first over of the morning. In again, bowls, and this is edgily between the fourth slip and the point, down towards the third man boundary. It's not going to get to the boundary. A bit of relay fielding from Broad, from Butler and Bess gets the ball back in. That was 2 runs to Azhar at the end of the first over of the morning. Pakistan are 55 for 1. Any tweets?
Martin White trolling Facebook for banning us, so congratulations, Martin. But other than that, it's pretty quiet. So come on, everybody, keep me in business.
What's the best way, do you think, with Facebook? The stick or the honey? Are we going to lambast them, or are we going to say, please, can you just sort this out?
I think other people bigger than us have tried publicly shaming Facebook. It's yeah, sometimes it works. I think it's unlikely. Or Adrian, as we should call you, because you're an actual human being, not just a Twitter account. What is your Guerilla story?
My Guerilla story was that I found you back in the July 15 when you were from the jet lag.
Oh, yes.
And I was going through a few sort of mental issues at the time, and found you, and it was about the first time I'd laughed properly in about 3 or 4 months.
It's very gratifying.
Were you laughing with us or at us?
Both, actually. But I think Guerilla Cricket should probably be available on prescription for the NHS.
Well, as long as we get £8.80 or whatever it is per listener, that'll be fine. Do you want to jingle up the bowler? Yeah, the first ball of the morning is outside Harry Sahale's off stump and through to Bairstow. Yeah, I haven't heard that jingle for a while.
Yeah, I
it's
think
one of the 3 or 4 Jimmy ones.
Oh, at least 5 when I was sorting through them all the other day. I think sometimes the opposition give you a clue about how to bowl, and I think a lot of teams could do a lot worse than take a leaf out of Mohammad Abbas's book. Straight, full.
Well, Jimmy, as he comes into bowl, and this is a ball on leg stump, which is turned to mid-on, no run. Jimmy shouldn't really need any tips from opposition bowlers about bowling in English condition. In the 9 balls this morning, the ball is in its 25th over, so it won't be in tip-top condition, but you'd expect there to be a little bit in either the pitch or the overhead conditions.
It's been a little bit off the pitch, nothing remarkable. No one's got anything to move against the slope as Abbas and Hassan Ali both did yesterday.
Yes, there's a bit of a hold up now as somebody's moving behind the bowler's arm. He has sat down. Black bloke in a cream jacket as Jimmy in from the pavilion end, round the wicket now, and this is outside off stump, and that one dies on its way through to Bairstow after Harry Sahale had left it. Any more on the tweets front?
Wiggy is asking us if we're all set for a fair day's play. I think so.
The forecast was...
the forecast is for it to be much like this for the rest of the day.
Yeah, overcast, but I don't think there's any rain forecast.
I think there may have been a little bit overnight, but no, we think we're having an uninterrupted day's cricket.
Yeah, 3 slips and a gully now for Anderson as he's in and bowls outside the off stump, and Harris doesn't have to play. Not for the first time this morning.
Tim Part says, in response to the batsman's reaction time given by Sky, I've introduced the barometer.
Oh yes. What is the barometer?
The bear reaction time is not.
And what are its units?
It's measured in hours, is it?
Geological time.
People who are watching us on YouTube may have had the pleasant sight of Bear searching on the floor for a microphone fluffer. As this is outside the off stump, there's a bit of carry, shorter ball from Anderson. It did slightly move away from Azhar, but it started too wide and went a little bit further. Harris, indeed. That's the end of the over. 25 overs have gone. Pakistan are 55 for 1, 129 behind.
Andrew Parker, it says, morning gents, good to join you for day 2. 2 or 3 scalps needed by lunch, I'd say.
I think that's about right, yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Particularly if one of them is Azhar Ali, because he is a batsman who will just bat for a week if you allow him to.
Well, he's slightly constrained by the fact that it's a 5-day test match, but yeah, he does like batting, and I mean the pre-match word on this pitch was that it was drier than it may have looked with a green tinge, and should be okay for batting on. Not that England made it look that good yesterday, as Broad starts a new over to Azhar Ali. That's a slow. Well, it sort of swung into him, but it was a very slow delivery. Although it says 86 on the thing, it looked pretty slow and floaty from here.
Yeah, a lot of the fuller deliveries have looked very loopy. I mean, having said that, we've had to sort of readjust back to watching on the TV, because it always, after that week we spent in Malahide, it always does look faster live.
Does it?
I've found...
Not when Murtaugh's bowling. Barely gets to the other end.
a lot of the fuller deliveries in particular have looked. I've been noticed. Oh, that's coming out of the hand. Oh, that's a slow ball. Oh, wait, no, it's 85 miles an hour.
Yeah, as this is outside the off stump, moving away. Bairstow took that on the end of his fingers as I left it and shakes his hand ruefully. I think he didn't take that cleanly. And well, if he's got a problem, we've got another keeper at Gully.
Yep.
What happened there? He took it on the end of the finger.
It just swung a little bit away from him right at the last moment as he was
like
preparing to take it.
The fourth finger.
Lords does weird things to keepers.
Yes, it does. And to spectators sometimes as well.
As you will know, Battles, Adrian, because you were there yesterday.
I was there yesterday.
Next ball is on leg stump, turn too short with wicket, no run.
And yes, I mean, what was noticeable was how certainly later on the day the Anderson and Broad disease of bowling short and wide seemed to be contagious. I mean, Wood was doing quite a lot of that as well.
Yeah, there were a couple of very unthreatening maidens. I think actually Wood bowled all right yesterday. He looked quicker than he has done when he's played for England recently. He looked to be actually trying to, try to do what he's in the side to do, which is bowl quick and extract a little bit of movement at pace.
I think Wood's natural length is going to be shorter than Broad's and Anderson, certainly than those two at this stage of their career. As this one ducks back in to Azhar and catches him on the thigh pad. He was slightly on the walk playing that ball and seems a little bit uncomfortable after that ball hit him.
And just, I think Stokes was also guilty of bowling. He bowled one particularly unthreatening maiden he was bowling towards the end of the day yesterday and really didn't make Azhar and Harris play enough.
Well, Broad's first over, I think every ball was wide outside the off stump and the batsman didn't have to play.
No, they didn't even have to really think about playing.
No, at some point we're going to see the debutante Bess, but probably not for a while, certainly as long as there are clouds, as this is full ball on off stump. Azhar leans into a shot, just finds the gap on the offside and takes two. Probably shouldn't have been two, because whoever that is fielding sort of accompanied the ball rather than picked it up and got it back in. It's the captain, Joe Root.
Root decided to run alongside it for a little while.
Yes, he accompanied it for about 30 yards.
Root had himself in at short leg yesterday at one point.
Well, he's obviously he's either been taken out of the slips or he's moved himself out of the slips, but he's certainly not fielding. I haven't heard that maybe he's got finger issues or something.
Which I guess that would make sense coming out of the slips, although why would you then put yourself in at short leg?
Well, you don't see many at short leg.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit of yesterday at mid-off.
Broad bowls again. This one ducks back into Azhar, but it started a little bit too wide and Azhar could leave it comfortably. The end of the 26th over, 57 for 1.
Dave Marr is asking how long do we think Jimmy is going to keep going. He thinks this session could break him.
Oh, come on. If the Ashes didn't break him, this won't.
He was comfortably England's best bowler over the winter.
Jimmy will go on as long as Jimmy wants to go on for, I think.
Yeah, and as long as he's bowling well, I don't think there's going to be any need to drop him.
I mean, he's the second or third ranked bowler in the world.
Yes, after a couple of difficult winter tours as well.
Yeah.
Although did he play much in India? He was injured, wasn't he, for some of that tour? The India and Bangladesh.
He was injured for some of it. He bowled well without bowling brilliantly.
He starts a new over to Harris, who works this quite nicely square on the leg side. He's timed it well, and it's down to the boundary for the first one of these.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Yeah, it was a shorter ball, and he just stood up and timed it quite nicely in front of square. Well, could the fielder have dived for that?
Not
Possibly.
really.
It was a little bit too far away from him
and
going too quickly. So a nice boundary as the left-hander timed. Oh, they've put a man back. We've got two men back now on the leg side. We've got a square leg and a long leg, because this ball is outside the off stump and dies. Bairstow takes it almost on the second bounce.
This basically means that if Anderson bowls anything even close to the stumps, there's an easy single, possibly two, out into the leg side.
Although, as we've seen other countries do to Root, if you cut off their boundary shots, they can get some batsmen can get a bit skittish.
Sure. I don't know if that really reflects the match situation though, because Pakistan don't really need to be looking for boundaries.
No, they don't. but nonetheless, batsmen like scoring boundaries. They like to see the board ticking over. So this is well wide of the off stump. I think that was a cutter from Anderson. He tried to bring that back into Harris. He didn't really manage it, and Bairstow takes.
It was noticeable yesterday that Haris Sohail was much more comfortable with anything on the stumps or on his pads than really any other line.
Well, most batsmen are, to be fair.
Sure, but well, some batsmen get a bit tucked up. You know, David Warner's a left-hander he's much more comfortable with it flashing outside off stump. When you bowl in at his hips and in at his ribs, he can get a bit sort of
who's
closed off.
David Warner, as Anderson bowls full on off stump, very full, half volley in fact. And a mistimed drive from Harris. He gets this to wideish mid off, no run.
True fact, David Warner is a bishop in Manchester. While we're prognosticating about the state of the play, you can do so yourselves and perhaps win yourself some money in the process, because the GPL is open. It was not won yesterday. The total tally for yesterday fell well in between two people's guesses, and I'll explain more about how you can do that after this ball.
Jimmy into Harris, and this is a decent ball on leg stump, and it's played up to mid on. He brought the bat down not entirely straight, and if he would have missed that one, I think it would have been a huge appeal, and he possibly would have been on his way. But he did get the bat on it.
Looks like it was going down leg.
I think it just
maybe
probably would have hit leg
did it
stump.
just straighten?
Yeah.
So the Guerilla Prediction League is you guess the number of runs that will be scored in today's play. You have until lunchtime to get your guesses in. You pay £1 per guess, and you can guess as many or as few times as you like.
Jimmy in again around the wicket to the left hand, a full half volley driven up to mid off, no run, end of the 27th over, 61 for 1.
And you do that by going to guerillacricket.com/competitions, and then you either log in if you're already registered or register. And as I say, you have until lunch to do so. The rollover, the pot for the start of today is £64, and will go up as you guys get involved. But £64 for a £1 guess, that's better returns than you'll get in pretty much any other form.
Yeah, and as the pot gets bigger, it becomes almost mandatory to play.
Yeah, we've had £200 wins before.
We have, usually by Messi Jez, but other people have won. Ling Mao's won big prizes in the past.
Yeah, Moggs won about 150 quid.
Yeah, any more on the tweet front?
Yeah, let's run through the Craig McDee's joined us. He says, hard to believe it's 2 weeks already since the rained off Thursday in Malahide. Looking forward to playing in soon. I would say it would be kept competitive maybe next summer.
But England, Ireland?
I'm assuming so.
It's going to be a couple of years.
I think that's slightly off the cards.
Yeah, they're talking about 2020 or 2021 as Broad starts a new over to Azhar Ali outside the off stump, and he has no intention of playing that at all.
It was estimated that Cricket Ireland lost about €1 million of the staging of that first Test match. I think the only way it's going to work is if teams tack on a Test against Ireland to an England tour, which
I think a lot of teams will be interested in doing. Certainly, it's not the worst warm-up for a tour of England.
It's not. It's not even it's a Test match. It's not a warm-up.
Well, no, but I mean, if you're looking at it from their point of view, if you're India or somebody and you're going to play a few tests in England, it's better than a county game, as this is outside the off stump again, too wide. Azhar doesn't play at it. I'm looking at it from the
sure.
perspective of the opposition.
You're playing a full strength opposition who are really up for it.
Yeah, in conditions that are very similar to what you're going to find in England.
I think probably more testing. I think for the batsmen, the Malahide pitch was greener and had probably more movement than really any Lord's pitch we've seen for a while.
Yeah, so I think Ireland need to use that to their advantage as a way of selling it to. I mean, if you're Australia, who have had tremendous trouble in England the last 3 times they've come here against the moving ball in typical English conditions, you would think it was an absolute must to play in Ireland first. Anyway, Broad is into Azhar, and this is a better directed ball, and Azhar does watchfully play it out in the offside, no run.
I think Pakistan have definitely benefited from it. Some of their batsmen have got time in the middle. And some of their bowlers have very, very quickly in Malahide, and they've taken that into this test, worked out the lines and lengths they need to bowl in these conditions. Yeah,
although it's slightly complicated, the scheduling, when the test league comes into place, because neither Ireland or Afghanistan are going to be part of that.
Yes, which is a problem.
Well, it's a problem, but it's actually not so bad for them as Broad bowls again outside the off stump, as it doesn't have to play. If you remember the interview that we did with Warren Dutram, he was quite happy about the fact that they wouldn't be involved in that, certainly when it starts, because that would be an incredible amount of pressure for them. Very soon, very early in their Test career, they were going to have to be playing all these highly competitive games, and he wasn't worried about the fact that they weren't in it. He was actually quite pleased.
Yeah, he was very bullish in both directions, which is quite typical of Warren Dutram.
Broad in again, and this is comes back into Azar. Bairstow is making an expression as if, I can't believe that didn't get him out, but it started well wide of the off stump. It would have to do an immense amount to have come back and knocked back his off stump.
And it bounced.
It came back a bit.
It bounced well over the stumps as well.
Yeah, it was a fair enough leave.
It was a very well judged leave.
Yeah.
I say that Warren Dutram was bullish in both directions approvingly because it's not really in his control, and so what's in his control is how they react to the decision that's made.
Well, I mean, it isn't in his control in that they, matches and tours are agreed bilaterally, and they have to be agreed by, well, basically him, as Broad bowls a little bit closer to off stump. Azza defends it well square in the offside. The end of the 28th over, 61 for 1. Any more on the tweets?
We've had the first negative sentiment of the day from Steve Kellett. Oh dear, this is all looking rather ominous. I think it's a trifle early in the day for that.
Just a little. Broad and Anderson have at least made Azza and Harris play more than they did yesterday, which is something.
Yeah, and Broad nowadays is a very frugal bowler. He doesn't go for many runs per over, often because he's bowling too wide.
Yes.
Bairstow is taking some painkillers, so he obviously took that painful blow on one of his fingers, but serves him right for not catching the ball properly. That's what your gloves are for, mate. Well, there's a little conference between Broad and Anderson and Cook, and the interesting thing about that is none of them are the captain. Maybe Cook's forgotten, but you've stood down, Alistair, and Jimmy will be continuing to bowl from the pavilion end.
Is it just me, or has Jimmy's hair got a slight sort of purplish tint
to
it?
Well, we worked out why yesterday, because he had this ill-advised blonde rinse earlier in the season, and then he's obviously suddenly gone back to what he expects to be his natural colour, but you then have to dye it.
So he's dyed it darker than his natural hair colour.
He's dyed it different than his natural colour, otherwise he's going to have to wait for it to grow out, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, frankly, anything's better than the skunk that Kevin Peterson used to wear on his head.
Well, so, and Jimmy first had when he came into the team. Round the wicket to the left-hander, full, driven sweetly through extra cover. He's timed this nicely. It's running away down the hill. No one's going to catch that one. 4 runs. Don't know how many boundaries Jimmy has gone for. That may be the first. But he's gone for 19, and this is his 8th. He's into his 8th over, so couldn't have gone for that many. If you're listening to us, you are not listening to Bumble, Nasser, and Ian Botham. So well done, you.
That 4 from Harris brings up the 50 partnership for the second wicket.
Yes, it does. Probably got a clap from the knowledgeable Lord's crowd. What was it like there yesterday? You have a pleasant afternoon, pleasant day?
I did, but it was surprisingly subdued.
Well,
I don't.
I mean, the cricket probably lent its.
Correct. But for example, when Butler was out and that stunning catch was taken, the reaction was. I'll break off.
Jimmy bowls full, driven, timed very nicely, very straight, and between the bowler and mid-off, another 4 runs. Yeah, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, when the catch was taken, it was. I think it was more of a shocked, sort of, stunned. Oh no! Butler's the last sort of serious batsman remaining. This is going to go downhill fairly quickly.
Watching it in here, it was one of those catches you didn't realise quite how good it was until you saw it again.
Yes, it was. I mean,
Jimmy bowls again. This is on leg stump, and this rises into the side of Harris, who's studiously not rubbing anything, but he probably felt that.
Yes, when I saw it live, I'd almost thought he dropped it, because he sort of went down in a heap and stayed there. And I was sort of looking, where's the ball? And suddenly everyone was sort of in a high fives all round.
It was going very quickly. Pakistan did take their catches very well yesterday. Not least Mohammed Amir, that the last wicket. Took a good diving catch as Jimmy bowls again, and this does beat the outside edge of Harris. He's bowling over the wicket to the left-hander, pushing it across him, and he played at that and was beaten.
Yeah, having the ball before failed to pick up a ball as he escorted it towards the boundary.
Yes, well, he escorted it to the boundary, and then the last bit of actually leaning down and stopping it from crossing the boundary, he failed to do, which the bowler was probably a bit miffed about, but he forgave him the next ball. Some sort of redemption, perhaps, from the Anderson has none for 23 off 7.4 overs, and he'll be bowling to Harris Sohail. He is in now and bowls, and it's a good straight ball, and it's defended up to mid-off. Very little movement again from Anderson this morning. I don't think it's going to be too long before we see Mark Wood into the attack. See if he can extract some bounce.
Yeah, see if he can come back for a second and third spell, which has been an issue with him. Obviously, he didn't have a huge amount of cricket before he came back for Durham, but did take, I think it was his career best figures that he took in his last county game for Durham.
Anderson in again, and that is a cracker that goes past the outside edge of Harris. It didn't actually miss the stumps by very much. Pushed across him. He missed the edge, missed the stumps. A good delivery from Anderson to finish the over. 69 for 1 off 29 overs.
Imagine has joined us. Says, "Hey guys, thanks for keeping me company last night as we endured cyclonic winds and unseasonal fires on the south coast of WA. I'm assuming that's Western Australia.
Oof, yeah.
It is supposed to be winter."
Well, Western Australia. It's a harsh environment out there.
Winter forest fires. Ouch. Or bushfires or whatever.
Yeah.
And Ben Ingham says, "I've got to feel a bit for our bowlers. Don't seem to ever be bowling with any runs on the board, and then naturally end up trying to bowl a little more economical."
I'm not sure that's the problem. Broad is going to start another over, and he's in to bowl to Azza, who flashy drive square of the wicket. He's timed this nicely. No chance of cutting that off. 4 runs.
Now my innings going, great guns, I hit the ball, 4 runs, I hit the ball, and it went for 4 runs.
This is all fine, though, for England. They need to be bowling fuller.
Yes, they do, but they also need to see the ball doing a bit more, and they need to see the edges met rather than the middle of the bat. For the first time in this Test match, Pakistan have moved into favourites on the exchanges. So make of that what you will. They only trail by 111, and they've got 9 wickets in hand. So I'm not sure why it took quite so long. Broad in again to Azhar, and this is off his pads, tucked square of the wicket. He's not going to get 4, but he's going to pick up 2 as Wood picks up the ball from fine leg, sends it into Bairstow. 2 more to Azhar. He moves up to 30, 75 for 1. Any more tweets?
Josh Holland is asking us if Root still has his shiny gold cap on.
We have not seen that. Yes, it's something that Dave Barrett, member of Ben, our benefactor for this test, picked up yesterday, is the fact that Joe Root, the England badge on Captain Joe Root's cap is a sort of goldy colour, as indeed is the number on the back.
God knows what that is. They've got enough. I hope they're not going down the IPL route of having different caps for different people, thinking it's a cycling race. The camera is focused on Jimmy, who's looking a little bit pensive as his mate Broady, with whom he has shared close to 1,000 test wickets, comes in and bowls, and this ducks back into Azhar slightly, defends it well into the offside, no run.
We were saying this yesterday. A good summer for Anderson could see him overtake Glenn McGrath as the highest wicket-taking seam bowler of all time.
He's a much nicer bloke than Glenn McGrath. Let's be honest. Well, most people are, to be honest. And he's probably better at predicting series scores, I would have thought.
He's also a substantially better fielder.
Glenn McGrath did take 1 outstanding catch.
Well, he played for a long time, though, didn't he?
Yeah. Anderson was probably one of the first of the very good fielding fast bowlers.
Oh, this one beats the outside edge of Azhar, moved away slightly, but again, it absolutely died on the way through to Bairstow. It almost rolled. It was well, it wasn't that full, actually, but it's kept really low, and it bounced twice before Bairstow took it. This does not bode that well for England if we're seeing such uneven bounce with the match position as it is.
No, particularly if Pakistan can bat so big that they're essentially trying to bat once.
Well, that would have been their intention going into the day's play. But intentions are just that, as Broad is into Azhar Ali, a wide, floaty, full ball outside the off stump and left through to Bairstow. Any more tweets?
Ian Shaw is chastising us for calling the Lord's crowds knowledgeable.
They are very knowledgeable. In fact, you're not knowledgeable for saying they're not knowledgeable. They're the most knowledgeable crowd in the world.
And
Was there a coda to that?
No?
The tweet.
Channel 9 taught us that that's reserved for the Adelaide Oval crowd.
Yes. Well, as usual, Channel 9 are wrong.
In India, the crowd they use for that is Eden Gardens.
Broad into Azhar, beats him. Oh, beats him outside the off stump, and then it goes through to Bairstow, who manages to kick it to second slip. What the hell happened there?
It completely died again. He thought that
Did
was
it roll along the ground?
Bairstow had his hands up at chest height.
Or did he?
I think
Did
it's
he
a straightforward
drop it?
drop.
I think he didn't.
I'm
He
not
didn't
sure he
make the
hit.
take.
I'm not sure he nicked
Sky
it.
have gone to adverts. No, I don't think he nicked it, but something odd happened there, and we're not going to see what it is for another minute or two because we've got some adverts with Chris Kamara and that batsman falling on his wicket, which is always quite funny.
I think Bairstow has had his hands up expecting it to take the shoulder of the bat, and then I think it may have clipped either the thigh pad or the back hip, and then just died.
Show us it again, please, Sky. We want to know what happened
That
there.
was bizarre.
Well, we're back with the cricket. Okay, let's have a look at the ball. It was a little bit short. It beat the outside edge. No, Bairstow's dropped it.
He just dropped it.
He's just dropped a take, a fairly straightforward take. He didn't do too much swinging. It was a cracking delivery, actually. Only just beat the outside edge. And Bairstow just dropped it and then kicked it to third slip. We are going to see a change of bowling. And it's the man with the horsey jingle.
Do you know Mark Wood? Yes, he is an England bowler, quite good and pretty quick.
So just a normal guy.
Of course, except for just one thing.
What?
He thinks that he's a horse.
Right. What?
I think, do you remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
I was just thinking, we need some coconuts. over
Yes,
the
you
back.
need somebody to, when he's fielding on the boundary, you need people to clip-clop behind him with coconut shells. Get that going. You know, like in certain sports, they have corners where they follow a certain player. We need the Mark Wood corner for the 1 in 4 test matches that he plays. He's in now, bowls to left-handed Harris, who gets a leg stump ball, and he turns it quite sweetly down to long leg. He probably should have done better with that because it was basically a gimme on leg stump, and there were wide open spaces in the leg side. He probably should have hit that for 4, but he didn't.
Mark Wood's hair's also got a sort of reddish purplish tint to it.
Maybe it's our TV.
It could be. I was thinking that yesterday as well. I'm not sure. Anderson in his early career had a sort of, not dissimilar to Freddie Ljungberg actually, he had that sort of shock of red hair.
Yes, he did. Yes. Ridiculous. Got rid of that soon enough. Wood has a relatively normal haircut and also a fairly close crop beard. Probably trying to think that will help him in the IPL. If you have a beard, they might think you're Indian and pick you anyway.
Well, that worked. He played the first game, didn't play again, and then ended up leaving.
3 slips as Wood comes in and bowls to Azhar and beats him on the outside edge. Beat him by a long way, actually, and it's through to Bairstow. They're going up. They're talking about a review, but it looked like there was a lot of air between bat and ball, and Wood's heading back to his mark as if to say, no, that wasn't out.
The one that Bairstow shelled that take, Broad had his hands on his head as though he thought Bairstow had dropped a
Broad
nick.
always has his hands on his head. No, I think that was more of I've beaten you outside the off stump, hands on his head. Root heard something there, but nobody else in the crowd did.
Weird acoustics at Lord's.
The wicketkeeper didn't, and the bowler certainly didn't. And Wood is in again to Azhar Ali, a little bit shorter, and he goes onto the back foot and plays it down square on the offside. No run.
I saw a first yesterday at Lord's, actually Broad deciding not to review something.
Yes, he's growing wiser in his old age.
And in a position where actually the tactical review would have made sense because England had 2 wickets left and there were 2 reviews. I mean, the fact that it was
he
plumb.
was absolutely plumb. Yeah, Broad's batting. I mean, maybe the visit of Pakistan will bring back memories of that incredible 100 that he hit. 169, was it?
Yes.
Number 9 as Wood bowls, and this ducks back into Azhar. Places to short mid-wicket quite comfortably, no run.
Yeah, I mean, Wood was promoted above Broad yesterday, which I think it was quite a good move.
Yeah, Bess has had some reasonable scores this season. I've only seen him once, and he didn't stick in the memory.
Yeah, he got 100 against Essex and he got a 90 as well.
Yeah, so he's obviously in some form, so it's quite legitimate for him to be batting at 8. Certainly ahead of those 3, as Wood is in again, and Bolster as it's full and it's driven and it's timed very nicely through the gap on the offside, out to extra cover, 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Again, Wood shouldn't be afraid of pitching it up.
No, but it's less his natural length, I think, than it is Broad and Anderson's. Speaking of Lords, is it official that we will be at Lords next week?
I believe it is, yes. We will be this time next week, in fact.
No, Thursday.
Sorry,
Yes.
this time yesterday week, as it were. We will be at Lords covering from the ground the West Indies versus the rest of the world charity game to raise money for the victims of Hurricanes Irma and Maria.
This is a shorter ball outside the off stump. Azza doesn't have to play, and that's the end of the over. 80 for 1 of 31 overs.
And in particular, the cricket facilities that were devastated by those 2 hurricanes in such a short space of time that ripped through the Caribbean last year.
Yes, it's a bit strange that it's taken... I mean, I suppose there's a lot of people around, so let's put a game on, sort of thing. I don't know when this was. It
was first mooted a few months ago. Well, rather, it was announced in sort of January, and they've been slowly assembling the teams.
Right. Usually a bit of fun. It's going to be a T20 game, and we will be there covering it. So
yeah.
do tune in. It's on Sky as well.
It is on Sky. But we've
secured the rights.
Yes, we've.
I think it's fair to say
we've put on our charitable hats.
Yes,
shall we say? And yeah, it should be a great day. This the World 11 is quite has some obviously some very big names like Tamim Iqbal is playing, Shakib Al Hassan. It's actually Shakib Al Hassan's actually pulled out, but Tamim Iqbal is playing. Shahid Afridi, Hardik Pandya, Dinesh Karthik, Owen Morgan will be captaining. It should be a good day.
Broad starts a new over, and this does beat the outside edge of Harris. I think he withdrew the bat after the ball had gone, and that was some decent carry through to Bairstow. This reaction time that Sky is showing
is a complete waste of time.
Pointless, isn't it?
Even the revometer at least gave you something if you're comparing spinner against spinner.
What, is the reaction time just the speed of the ball translated into...
Expressed in another metric, yes. Yeah.
So
complete waste of everyone's time.
Unless there's difference between it being a short ball or a full ball, I can't see any point to it at all. And, you know, the difference between 0.49 seconds and 0.53 seconds, you know, what is that helping?
About 4 miles an hour?
What is that helping us exactly? Broad in again, wider of the off stump, and it does move away slightly, but it started very wide.
I guess they are slightly different in because I think the speed gun is measuring hand to pitch, and then the reaction time is hand to batsman. So it's a little bit, because it does lose a little bit. But again, you're talking, what, 0.5 seconds versus 0.45 seconds. Marginal.
Yeah, and the speed of the ball will tell you basically that. So, you know, an idea that we're comfortable with, how quick a bloke's bowling, is more useful than a reaction time that we've never heard of. They're looking at the ball. Seems to be some damage to one side. Yeah. As often happens when teams are not doing that well with the ball, they try and get it changed. But
it's just a little bit of leather on one of the sides of the ball.
Umpire's rifle and tucker?
It is indeed, with Oxenford, the third umpire.
We need a picture of him to see whether he's got his shield in the third umpire's room. Whether he wears it. I mean, does he go out on the town with it of an evening? I mean, you could have asked Umpire Long. You were very friendly with him last week in Ireland.
We did not ask Nigel Long about the Oxen Shield. Nor did we ask Richard Illingworth.
That sounds like you're protecting yourself against oxen, which is something quite different. Broad is happy with the ball, and this one is edged down to third man along the ground. The fielder from point is running back. Is he going to cut it off? He does. Good bit of fielding. Stokes slips as he gets the relay in, but they're going to come back for 3 runs. That was Bess who chased it down. And 3 runs to Azhar.
I was listening to Vic Marks, another Somerset off-spinner, talk about Dom Bess, and he was saying that he is a very good fielder. He and Butler should...
The trouble is you need to take everything that people say about players from the counties with which the pundit is associated with a pinch of salt.
This is true, but Vic Marks is not a man prone to hyperbole.
But he is a very much a Somerset man.
Yes.
And that tends often to override more critical faculties, let's put it that way. I'm not accusing him of bias, but they do slightly edge in favour of people from their old counties, as Broad is in again to Azar, and this is tickled down the leg side. He tried to get a fine glance on it, missed the ball, and Bairstow looked interested for a minute, but it missed everything.
And also, we don't really have a point of comparison, because if you're Vic Marks, you're watching a lot more Somerset than you're watching anyone else.
Yeah, I think he's either is or has been chairman of Somerset as well. So this is the great unspoken thing about punditry in cricket. And the number of times I've heard Nasser Hussain big up Essex players, you know, saying who should be in the next team, and he'll say whoever it is.
Wesley.
Yeah, this happens again and again and again, and people don't pick them up on that. As Broad is in and bowls, and that's a straighter delivery, and Azar who's looked incredibly comfortable this morning, it has to be said, plays it up to mid-on, no run. Are we going to have a change as the bear going to come in?
We should have. I think we'll, in lieu of anyone wandering in here, we'll maybe do one more over.
Shall I race through some tweets?
Yeah, please.
Nick Nelson's joined us on the tone list. Greetings from Ling Island in a car en route Martha's Vineyard for the holiday weekend.
Oh, very nice.
Sounds
Very
lovely.
nice.
Enjoy it. Hope you have good weather.
Jolliana says, I'm surprised you're not already using the D word.
That's not our job.
We leave that to the tweeters.
Ravi Nair, morning Ravi. The Lord's crowd is the most knowledgeable crowd in the world, but it loses that title when not Fred's there? Question mark. I think
As
that's
Broad
trifle.
comes in and bowls outside the off stump, and Azar doesn't have to play. Is the bear shouting something?
I heard a yelp. I don't know what the yelp was.
We're all wearing headphones, Bear. Probably means we can't hear you.
Shall I beg for money?
Go on, beg away.
Whoa, keep us on it. Whoa, give and show you care. No geo-block, you can listen anywhere. Whoa, give and show you care. Whatever you can spare.
Go to justgiving.com and donate today. Search Guerilla Cricket and keep alternative cricket commentary alive. JustGiving.com. Search Guerilla Cricket.
Thank you to Senor Peel for that jingle. In fact, for donating that jingle, as all our jinglers do. They give up their time and their effort to provide us with entertaining little ditties for your delectation. As Wood is round the wicket to the left-handed Harris. It's a shorter ball. It's nothing coming out of the wicket at all from Wood at the moment, and it's easily played to cover, no run.
Yeah, even at 87 miles an hour.
Yeah, we did see the odd one bounce yesterday, but I can't remember from what end. Possibly from both ends.
Both ends.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it, didn't you?
Initially the nursery end with Mohammad Abbas, who was extracting a little bit, but then Hassan Ali, who I think has been the quickest bowler in this test, was getting some bounce as well.
Wood in again outside the off stump. Harris doesn't have to play. You got any more tweets to run through before the changeover?
Yeah, Spinner Grace is with us. She thinks both Jimmy, it's going back a bit, she thinks both Jimmy and McGrath are grumpy pricks. Well, probably right there.
Yeah, but one of them's our grumpy prick.
And Steve Kellett is looks like he's joining Jolly on saying, okay, someone has to do it. Doomed. Again.
He says that once every half an hour. It's going to be true at points.
Again, the ball is being presented to the umpires to see if it passes through the hoops. It looks like it's passing through the correct hoop and has been handed back to Joe Root.
One of the sides is already noticeably shinier than the other.
Well, it should be. I mean, you only shine one side, don't you?
Yeah, but it's not an abrasive outfield particularly.
Wood is in again, and that's a bouncer. We haven't seen very many of those. That was decent pace, and Harris ducked underneath it. It probably would have gone above his head even if he was standing upright through to the keeper.
Wood's the only bowler in this side who can really bowl that sort of slippery, troubling bouncer where it...
He can, although it's a surprise if it comes from Broad and Anderson, and can sometimes have the surprise effect and get a wicket that way.
I think often with Broad it gets a bit sort of tennis ball bouncy, and it's quite easy to play.
Not skiddy. Wood bowls again well wide of the off stump. Nobody's going to be playing a shot out there. The lead is only 101 for England as Pakistan move on to 83 for 1. Any more tweets?
Yeah, Scott Devine's got it right. It says, screw Lords, the most knowledgeable cricket crowd is the one right now in GC Towers.
Yeah.
Oh, how kind. Not really a crowd. Three's a crowd? Yes, I suppose that's the expression.
We've got two crowds.
We've got a couple in the green room, have we?
A crowd and 2/3.
and they'll be in to join you in a couple of deliveries' time as Wood comes in and bowls a straighter ball. Harris pushes it into the offside. Hesitated as he set off for a run. They made it comfortably. Azhar is prone to a run out, as some Pakistan players have been over the years, particularly one ending in ul Haq. Not the nephew, the uncle.
No, the nephew is actually, well, having said that, Imam ul Haq nearly ran himself out and knocked himself out the first ball of the test at Malahide.
Yeah, of his debut test.
Yes, indeed.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, I don't know if Stats Guru keeps stats on things like that.
Wood, wide of the wicket, bowls a full ball, half volley in fact. It's driven up to mid-off, the end of the 33rd over. It's 84 for 1. We will have a changeover.
We will have a change, and we'll have a jingle from our sponsor.
From market stall to martial arts, watch yourself if you're a grass. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, that you can give these slags a right good kicking.
Men with Ven, driving from Barking to Deptford. www.menwithven.biz.
Yes, you are listening to Guerilla Cricket, our coverage of this first test between England and Pakistan at Lords, brought to you by Men with Ven, driving from Barking to Deptford. I am Knuckle M. Pandey. I'll be taking you through the next 40 minutes or so on Ball by Ball, and I'm joined by, to my right, Nigel the Bear Walker.
Good morning, people.
As Broad is in, outside, short outside off stump, Haris Sahel onto his toes and pushing into the offside, where Dom Bess runs around from backward point to field. And to my left on the tweets, Tony Bishop 1, the one Tony Bishop.
Good morning, everyone.
Ooh.
Oh, you're coming through nice and loud and not clear.
It's all a bit strange, Bear. What happened there?
I think you're all right.
Okay.
Just, Tony's not quite
shocked myself.
Tony's not come down quite from the heady heights of lip mics at Malahide.
Yeah,
slumming it with these big baffly things. Haris Sahel on 30. Haris Sahel on 39 on strike. Azhar Ali on 34. Pakistan 84 for 1, trail by exactly 100. In comes Stuart Broad, hair flapping around the wicket outside off stump. Left alone comfortably by Haris Sahel through to the keeper, and there is no run. If you're just joining us or just keeping up with this test match, England, having won the toss and elected to bat yesterday, were bowled up for 184, losing 5 for 19 in 6 overs after tea. And then Pakistan batted with discipline and with a degree of comfort yesterday to be 50-4-1 at the close. They are now 84-4-1. England have bowled fuller, to their credit. The ball is not swinging alarmingly, and so there have been a few nice drives and flicks for 4, but I think England should not be afraid of bowling that fuller length.
No, not at all. I think Pakistan have batted very well to get to here, to be fair.
No, there's been a lot they've been able to leave. Which helps. Like that, which actually, and Haris Sahel has left well, even when it's been tighter to off stump. That was a little tighter to off stump, but Haris Sahel trusted his judgment and let it sail through to Johnny Bairstow, and there is no run.
Well, this is the problem all the way throughout winter, wasn't it? Which is not bowling enough balls that the batsmen have to play at.
No, or think they have to play at, which I guess is the point.
Well, at this level, they know where their off stump is, you know.
But they're playing sensibly.
Yeah.
They're playing the conditions, they're playing the bowling.
And
they've not taken unnecessary risks, they're playing sensibly.
This is Azhar Ali will do this all day. He would absolutely love a condition like this. Back of a length and keeps a little bit low, and Haris does have to play this from the stumps. Plays it a little bit squared up, but got the middle of the bat on it. Back to the bowler. There is no run.
So I'll be mixing it up, going over as well a bit, going across him.
The issue is though, there's 2 men back on the hook. So if he goes over, if he gets even slightly straight, there's an easy 1 or 2 out there.
Yeah, that's true. But you need to get wickets.
Sure,
so you've got to mix it up a little bit.
So why not
we've looked pretty innocuous
why
so
not?
far.
Why not then bring the man up and encourage him to bowl straighter?
Yes.
Broad again outside off stump. If he gets that a little bit fuller, that line might work because you don't quite know which way the ball's going to go, whether it's going to go down the slope or it's going to exactly. That's what I absolutely agree with that. I think that line would work fuller.
Harris is working himself into a decent bit of form. He made 30 odd, I think 31. I think he made in Malahide.
In the
made a few. He made runs in both innings against Northampton.
He was unlucky in the second innings. Was he one of the run out in the second innings?
I think he was. Yes, I think he was.
It's a good bit of fielding, wasn't it?
It's amazing how quickly we forget.
Yes.
3 slips in. Stuart Broad bowling from mid-crease round the wicket. Does make Hudis play, but plays comfortably into the offside. There is no run. After 34 overs, Pakistan 84 for 1, trail by 100. Tweets.
Yes, Martin White has said, surely it would be in the interest of county-associated pundits to not promote players from their own county. I don't know if he's talking about Fred and Middlesex.
No, we were talking about Vic Marks and Dom Bess. But then again, how would they know? Because they watch their county so much, they don't get a proper sense of other players from other counties.
Well, and I think you've also got to... There's a commercial reality to international players who have central contracts. The counties are very well remunerated for those.
Definitely.
So it's in the interests of a county to promote their players and bring on young talent to replace them. It's the natural cycle of the game.
And it has to be.
And a lot of the time it's just implicit.
Yeah. Abhishek, not listening in right now, but are Pakistan forgetting they're supposed to be mercurial?
Pakistan haven't been mercurial for a long time in Test cricket. This is full and driven. Decent pace from Mark Wood, but driven nicely by Azhar Ali, who's looked very, very assured through the offside. Finds Butler in the covers, there is no run.
So Abhishek, thanks for the question, but we won't be able to answer you. I suppose we could reply in writing.
Yeah, well, Pakistan haven't been mercurial in Test cricket, at least, really since Misbah took over, and Sarfraz has kind of inherited some of that. This is a team with quite a clear idea of what they want to do. One-day cricket is a whole other thing. They're a shambles, frankly.
Well, they're mercurial in that.
They go, Wood jumps wider in the crease. It's not subtle when Mark Wood goes wide on the crease, put it that way. There's limbs everywhere. Outside off stump, Azhar Ali leaves. Through to the keeper, there is no run.
Yeah, Christ the Choir said, riveted to GC live on YouTube to see if Not Fred is welded to the chair. Well, no, he's not, because he's been replaced by Knackle, so we have managed to prize him out of the central commentating chair.
Yeah.
Andrew Parker, how would one get jingles to you? Format, etc. Sure, we could put a few together in our acoustic manner.
GorillaJingles@gmail.com. Fuller and straighter, and it does at least make Azhar Ali play. A little hint of movement at 90 miles an hour. Azhar had to jab the bat down with it through to the keeper. There is no run.
And
back to the bowler, rather. There is no run.
GorillaJingles@gmail.com, and format MP3, please.
Yep, and always gratefully received.
We will put them through the jingleometer and come up with a...
So there's quite a low threshold, the jingleometer.
Yeah, I am the jingleometer at the moment.
I am the jingleometer. Right, Christ the Choir says, did anyone else spot the backward handshake from Tony Bishop one at the sofa change? Have the Masons infiltrated GC? No, well, you might also notice I'm in shorts, so I can't roll my trouser leg up. But it was purely... Look at that, we're all in shorts. It was pure practicality. I had my hands full with the other hand, my normal shaking hand, as it were.
There's a long mid-pitch conference between Azhar Ali and Haris Sohail as there's a change of field of some kind. There's 3 helmets being run out by the third man. I think Wood is going to try and
this is the bouncer strategy.
Stick someone under the lid. I'm bowling a bouncer now.
Just to let you know, I'm going to telegraph it to everybody. I suppose you can't not do, can you?
Joe Root is again putting himself in at sort of the James Taylor deep short leg. The captain's going in at short leg. Protect his head, protect his bollocks.
Is he coming round the wicket? I like this.
Wood's going round the wicket. There's a leg slip in place, a slip and a gully. I think there's 2 men back on the hook and a short mid-wicket.
Now, the first ball should be a Yorker.
Well, you do have to bowl to your field.
This is a bit how Boyd Rankin got Asad Shafiq at Malahide.
With some Boydie line.
Yeah, Boydie line.
Boydie line bowling.
We're now into Woody line. Next one, this one will be full. No, the first one he decides to go sort of a bouncer, which Azhar Ali plays very comfortably on the back foot. Back to the bowler, there is no run.
Scott Devine has said, sorry, Bear. If I had £1 for every time I heard Stuart Broad bowls wide of the stump, the off stump, batsman doesn't have to play.
And yet, 410 Test wickets.
Yeah.
True.
Well, also 5 slips on a more than one occasion, with 5 slips in place, decided to spear it into leg, which was quite beyond me, but these things happen.
Again, for a given value, have decided.
Well, it helps if a bloody keeper can catch the fucking ball.
Yeah, Bairstow's dropped 2 now, which I think that one again did actually just... Again, we were talking about wicket keepers and laws. That one did move suddenly as it got to his gloves, but it was straight into his gloves. He should have taken it. It was a bouncer outside leg stump, which Azhar Ali thought about flailing at and just about got himself inside the line of, or outside the line of, and... It swerved through to Johnny Bairstow, who dropped it. Ben Stokes is in there at leg slip, glowering and chuntering away. Wood is in a bouncer, which is clipped off the hips by Azzarelli on the bounce to Ben Stokes, who dives and saves 4 at least.
Took it well, didn't he?
Yeah, Azzarelli played it quite well, though. He got on top of it and played it down. Interesting from Mark Wood. He's none for 15 off his 9. That was a maiden. Pakistan 84 for 1.
Interesting you mentioned as well Johnny Bairstow and his occasional mishandlings. Because Chris Waller has tweeted and said, do you think Bairstow getting the gloves taken off him is on the cards when Butler establishes himself?
I think if it was going to happen,
have said before this.
I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened already.
Yeah. Well, they kind of need an excuse, don't they, to drop a keeper? He's putting in a good one at the moment, though.
The weird thing is, he'll probably take a flyer at some point.
Yeah,
a little bit like Butler's, quite similar actually. Butler's brilliant at full-length diving catches, but then will occasionally drop one straight at him. We do have a change of bowling. Stuart Broad's been relieved of duty and is now going to offer some sort of advice. Whether Ben Stokes listens or not is unclear. But Stokes is in there. Broad is in there at chat to the bowler mid-on.
Here's his jingle. Ben?
Ben Stokes.
0 for 9 off 4, but bowled poorly yesterday, far too wide of the stumps, and it started wide of the stumps, but seamed into Haraseho, who left mostly on length. Again, died through to Johnny Bairstow. There is no run.
Now Stokes is one man who tends to get exaggerated swing when others aren't necessarily.
Reverse swing as well. We have noticed that the one side of the ball is much, much shinier than the other, even after 35 overs on a pretty green outfield. It's probably a little bit early for that, but if there is some swing out there, Stokes may benefit. Wood as well can bowl a bit of reverse swing.
It's a sandpaper day.
In comes Ben Stokes. Outside off stump there. He is moving appreciably into the left-handed Haraseho, who's leaving well. Through to the keeper, there is no run. Hands on heads from Stokes, but it was a well-judged leave.
Sarigal 55 says, Eek just watched Jaws. Martha's Vineyard Jeeps. I think that's relating to an earlier tweet about where someone was listening.
Nick
in the
Nelson's
car, right?
on the way to Martha's Vineyard for the weekend from Long Island.
Nice.
Lovely.
And have we got time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, okay. I'm just checking where Ben Stokes is. No, I think we might let him bowl.
He's at the top of his mark.
That's what I thought.
From the nursery end, Haraseho, the left-hander on strike on 39 not out. In comes Stokes.
Whoa.
Oh, this one seams in, swings in really appreciably and lifts off a length. Haraseho was trying to work that down through mid-on or wide mid-wicket and just struck him on the thigh pad, rebounded into the offside, and there is no run. Stokes is definitely holding it and bowling it for the swing.
Yeah.
It is orthodox swing. It's swinging towards the rough side.
Andrew Parker's tweeted. Now, I don't want in any way to put him off the idea that we want him to do tweets because jingles, because we'd love to hear them, but I'll tell you in a minute at the end of this ball.
In comes Ben Stokes over the wicket. A bouncer, or a shortish delivery at least, which Haraseho plays very, very easily off the back foot.
So he's
back
saying,
to the bowler, there is no run.
Indeed. So he's saying, no worries. He's saying, cheers, chaps. We're on it. Thinking of the Mumford and Son Little Lion Man chorus after a wicket. It's not your fault but mine. I didn't pick pace length line. I really fucked it up this time, didn't I, my dear? And that would say I don't wish to discourage you at all. We do happen to have that one. Hey, although you put some interesting wording changes in there. Which
that's true actually. If it's bait, we've got, because we clipped it from YouTube. If you've got a rewording, we'll definitely have a listen.
Well, we do. He does, and yes, we would.
In comes Stokes Fuller and left alone by Haraseho. It was a good idea from Stokes, having bowled a few in at the ribs and then throw one wider, see if Harris was going to chase it. Harris didn't chase it. There is no run. Eco Stevens on YouTube, as we are on YouTube. I've shared the link out from our Twitter feed. If you go to YouTube and search for Guerilla Cricket, Eco Stevens says, bloody love that Stokes jingle.
We all do. We all. I think we're kind of agreed that we like it better with the
beeps are funnier
in rather than out.
The beeps are funnier. They are. I've listened to the uncensored version, and the censored version's much funnier.
Yeah. What you can't hear is often better than what you can.
Last ball of the 36th over takes the inside half of the bat from Haraseho as he tries to push through mid-off. It is fielded at mid-wicket. End of the over. A second consecutive maiden for England. Pakistan 84 for 1. That was a much more threatening maiden than Woods.
Richard Blakey has said, listening to your excellent commentary while rambling around Madeira, which would be a wonderful title.
That sounds lovely.
It'd be a great title for a book, wouldn't it? Rambling around Madeira. An island so special that they get heads of state to open their roundabouts, apparently. I'm not sure who the head of state for Madeira is.
The only person I know of who from Madeira is Cristiano Ronaldo.
I don't think he's head of state.
No, not yet, anyway.
Not yet. He may be in the future life.
Haraseho was not run out in Malahide.
He's good with his head, though.
Oh, yeah.
but not off state.
Haris Sahel was not run out in Malahide. He was dismissed for 31 in the first innings.
31, yes.
In the first innings, and then 7 in the second.
Yes. How was he out in the second innings?
He was out in the second innings, caught by Ed Joyce off the bowling of Boyd Rankin, caught in the gully. Wood in around the wicket again, too much down the leg side. As a really easy leave through to Johnny Bairstow, who takes low to his left.
And again, we're looking at the reaction time, which is about half a second.
Remember that was a good catch from Joyce, actually, that he took. That Rankin bowled a bouncer to Haris Sahel. In the first innings, he was Stuart Thompson's first Test wicket.
He was. Well, there you go. That's a claim for fame for both of them for the rest of their careers.
Caught at gully well by William Porterfield diving low. But he did look quite impressive. He looked very. He looked like he had a solid game plan and a decent technique. Wood is in. That one actually does get a little bit of lift and zip and swung alarmingly away from Johnny Bairstow as it passed the batsman at chest height and died as well. He took that well in front of first slip, and there is no run.
It's been quite a long. How long have they been going without scoring a run? That trail by 100 has been up in front of us for an awful long time.
It was. So Wood. Stokes bowled a maiden before this, then Wood bowled a maiden before that. It's been probably, in total, close to 3 overs.
That's what I mean. Discipline. They're showing terrific discipline.
There is some stat about how many dot balls you have to put in a row. You know, when you get over a certain point, it increases the chance of a wicket quite substantially.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's an old stat, though. I think it's something John Buchanan put together for the Australian team years ago.
Do we have our friends CricViz?
We don't, sadly.
It's a shame.
We don't, sadly. I wonder if that stat has changed in those few years. Wood's gone back over the wicket. The only change to the field that I can see is that long leg has moved 2 paces further round to his square. This is back of a length, and there's a huge gap at cover, which Azhar Ali is quite happy to just stand up tall and push the ball through for 2. I'm not quite sure why Wood decided to go back over the wicket there. Certainly why he decided to bowl outside off stump. But Hassan Masana on YouTube says good. Good indeed.
Good. Thank you.
Finally, some runs. We're talking about the succession of dot balls, and now the lead is under 100. Azhar Ali, with that 2 pushes Pakistan to within 98 runs of England's total. There's still 2 men on the hook. The one sort of deep forward square leg and the long leg. This is back of a length and flirted at by Azhar Ali. Just looped it through where a leg gully would have been Ben Stokes' orthodox leg slip. It is off the bat.
Inside edge on the thigh pad.
Possibly, or just squirted off the face of the bat. We're having a look at this again. It did hurry Azhar Ali. No, it is, well, kind of off the face, a bit of both actually. Off the, sort of squirted off the maker's name and then onto the back thigh pad as well. Possibly helped him that it got the thigh pad. It took it a little bit squarer rather than finer.
Would have gone to a leg gully.
Oh yeah, it went straight through where a sort of second leg gully would have been. But Ben Stokes is an orthodox leg slip, if orthodox leg slip makes any sense. Haris Sahel, the left-hander, on strike. Wood is back round the wicket to bouncer, a reasonable bouncer, but Haris saw it coming and ducked comfortably. There is no run.
Looked like he had plenty of time there.
Yeah.
This equation's looking quite bothersome for England, I think. The lead is under 100. The ball's now getting on for 37 overs old. And the weather is set to improve and the clouds to break up for a while. So everything points to better batting conditions when we're not really getting prodigious swing and looking dangerous anyway.
This is why I think Wood's gone shorter. Because the ball... Stokes is getting a little bit of movement, but not much. Wood is in. Extra gun! Taken well by Johnny Bairstow. A beautiful delivery from Mark Wood. Found the right length. Haris Sahel didn't know whether to come forward or back. Had a flirt at it. It just moved away from him, possibly up the hill, actually, because I think the slope is taking it back into Haris Sahel. Had a flirt at it, took the edge, and the 3-over strangle from Wood and Stokes works. Good catch by Johnny Bairstow, low and to his left. Haris Sahel is gone. England finally have their second wicket.
And here it is. There, it's almost like you planned that.
Wow.
Horace Sahel caught by Johnny Bairstow off the bowling of Mark Wood, who I think has bowled well. I think he's been the pick of England's seamers, to be honest.
Shaped it in and just moved it away enough from the left hand.
It was a beautiful delivery on the right length as well. After 37, Pakistan 87 for 2, trail by 97.
And it was also immediately after I'd said everything was working an equation against England.
Well,
it was the negative commentator's curse.
Well, I was just about to say I put 3 unders on the fall of the next wicket, expecting it to go each time. And I was just about to say that, and then the wicket fell.
It's the equivalent of deciding to go to the loo and buying a wicket when you're actually there, isn't it?
Exactly.
But then you end up
the superstitious cricketers.
Yeah. There was a point during Kevin O'Brien took an age to get from 90 to 100.
Oh, God,
didn't he just?
And I was standing at the back of one of the stands. I was going to get a beer before my commentary stint, and I was just stuck at the back of the stand. I couldn't move. I couldn't move until they got to 100, and then I had to go back and commentate on it.
Anyway, in the meantime,
had to. It was wonderful.
A tweet flurry.
As wickets tend to do.
Yes. So David Marr said, "Do England need another way of selecting keepers when you have two that are much of a much?"
Well, you go with the incumbent.
Would a Krypton factor type competition be the best approach? That's an interesting idea.
You go with the incumbent, don't you? If there's not an obvious pressing reason to change the keeper, don't change the keeper.
No, and the modern vogue is for a keeper who can bat properly.
Kate Holdsworth, of course, DBK, says the Richard Blakey question mark. She's answering a question to somebody else, or I'm not quite sure. Need a bit more context on that one. Maybe I missed someone.
Blakey 7.
Blakey 7. Ooh. Not sure. Abhishek Chopra, our friend Abhishek Chopra, is saying, "May I take the liberty of recommending you to the brilliant comms at Guerilla Cricket? Thanks." He's replying to Justin Smith.
Yes, you may.
He's also copied Sky Cricket, which is rather kind of him. Scott Devine has said, "A friend at work just saw I was listening to Guerilla Cricket. They presumed I'm a really big fan of animal podcasts." Well, it'd be an interesting form of cricket as well, really, to be honest.
I'm sure we could get Trump to watch us, couldn't we?
Yes, not Guerilla Cricket, not monkey tennis.
Yes.
And
Chetan, or Chetan, Chetan says a Sri Lankan cricketer Dhananjaya De Silva quits West Indies tour after father's murder.
Yes,
Dhananjaya, shocking bit of news.
Dhananjaya De Silva, the Sri Lankan middle order batsman, his father was shot and killed yesterday, and he's left the tour.
Oh, that's just awful. That's just awful. Pillsbury Atta. Is the general consensus that batting first was a mistake on this wicket? 3 people, I think, would say yes.
I thought it was a 50-50 call. England didn't bat particularly well, and
they didn't bat particularly well, but the conditions were right for bowling. And with the bowling attack, I mean, we've said this a couple of times. England have made the wrong call. People, unless it's an absolute stick on, you're going to get wickets. People don't want to bowl, but sometimes you've got to just err on the side of being a bit adventurous.
Dave Franklin was expounding on this at great length and with great insight on day one.
Don't teams who bowl first have more percentage wins
slightly, but it's a much smaller sample size. Also, it's a bit of a self-selecting sample. This has brought I think the two class batsmen in this Pakistan side together. It is the Pakistan number 4. Who will not be facing.
And my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find
Stokes into Raza, left alone outside off stump. There is no run.
When the next man in is Asad Shafi.
Oh, I like that.
It's great, that, isn't it?
A beautiful jingle for a beautiful batsman. I love watching.
I do like Asad. I got a very soft spot for him.
Asad Shafiq is a world-class batsman.
Just on that wicket, I think, having also had a lot of discussion about some shortcomings of Johnny Bairstow this morning, he took that quite splendidly.
I mean, I think I did say slightly facetiously, he'll probably take a very good catch. That wasn't that's one of those catches. It's a good catch, but a bad drop. Stokes is in outside off stump, left alone by Azhar Ali, who's batting as if nothing has happened at the other end. There is no run.
He's a class batsman, Azhar, isn't he?
Yeah. Just give him a bat in his hand, and he'll bat for as long as is necessary.
Him and. Was it Murali Vijay? It was last time
for India
when they were in England.
Yeah, Murali Vijay is for a guy who was actually renowned as a stroke player and as a lovely player to watch. Leaves very well outside off stump.
Yeah, he was a standout batsman for me last time India were in England.
In comes Ben Stokes up to the crease and bowls outside off stump, a little bit tighter to off stump, but again, that line works if you're bowling a bit fuller.
Yeah.
A little bit like Mark Wood. Yeah, I think for India last time, Rahane and Vijay were definitely the two standouts.
Dave Wood says, I think England could get Billings, Bairstow, Butler and Folkes in the side, just rotate the gloves per session.
I don't know about Billings as a first-class player. He doesn't have a great first-class record. But certainly, we were sadly robbed of the Folkes, Stokes, Wokes rhyming middle order. There's interesting stuff about Asad Shafiq batting at number 4, which I'll bring you after this ball in from Stokes outside off stump. Beautiful shot from Azhar Ali. Just stood up tall and caressed it away between gully and cover point for 4 runs.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
It wasn't a particularly short ball, wasn't a particularly wide ball, but that is the class of the man. Asad Shafiq has batted pretty much everywhere for Pakistan, from 3 down to 6, or possibly even 7. He's very, very consistent, so he averages around 40 at 3, around 40 at 5, around 40 at 6. His average has dropped to 32 when he bats at 4.
Yeah.
In comes Ben Stokes to Azhar Ali. Wider on the crease goes Stokes, angling this into off stump and driven off the inside edge, or inside half of the bat rather, from Azhar Ali up to mid-on, and there is no run. But Asad Shafiq was moved up from number 6, where he was batting when it was the Azhar Misbah Yunus, or Azhar Yunus Misbah, settled middle order, and has been sort of floating around since. I suspect he'd probably prefer to be batting at 5, but needs must. And he is a class bat. He's a class act. Scored that very important 60 in the first innings at Malahide. Just Holt Island's momentum, or Holt Island's attempted charge. This is outside off stump, a little bit of a way swing from Ben Stokes, left alone by Azhar Ali. Through to the keeper, there is no run. 38 overs gone, Pakistan 91 for 2.
Nick Nelson says, we're back to Martha's Vineyard again actually. Where I'm staying is the very town where they shot Jaws. Watching the film is very disinteresting for that. I thought they blew him up in the end. Oh, I see what you mean. Shot the film. I've got it.
Well, he came back. A series of sequels of decreasing quality.
Didn't Michael Caine famously say, in answer to why he was in Jaws 3, he said, well, it bought one of his houses. And that was the only good reason he could actually give for it.
That's also James Blunt's answer every time he's asked about his career.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Tim Hart, who I think he's with us at some point during this.
He'll be in on Sunday.
He'll be in on Sunday.
He's been doing good social media Canva work for us.
He's been fantastic, so I will look forward to seeing him. Chess boxing is inexplicably popular. What would be the most natural bedfellow for cricket in hybrid sporting endeavour?
Oh, I see.
Oh, there's an interesting idea. Tim, we'll give that some thought. Hybrids for cricket.
So chess boxing. So you're going for a contrast here. So it's the cerebral and the not outside off stump and left alone by Asad Shafiq, his first ball.
Well, sometimes it can be actual. I mean, they have foot golf, don't they, for football and golf?
Crick fencing.
Crick fencing. That's a nice idea. Well, England's batsmen do a lot of that. Fencing outside off stump. We already see a fair bit of that.
Well, but we did talk about. I think Dave Franklin and I were talking about. You know how you get leg buys. You also have chest buys and arse buys, and you get different points as a bowler for where you hit the batsman. In some forms of fencing, you get a different points depending on where you strike your opponent.
Oh, I've got a good one.
Wood in again outside off stump. Asad Shafiq's first 2 balls have both been easy leads outside off stump, exactly as he would have wished.
Cricket curling.
Ooh.
Because and you'd get a Somerset groundsman to rake the wicket in front of the ball every time it was about to be bowled by a Somerset spinner. That would work really nicely.
There's a few cricket. How would that work in? Well, so you'd have the bowler running in, sort of slide and roll the ball along the.
Oh my God! Well, like what's the name? Greg Chappell.
Yeah. Trevor Chappell.
Trevor Chappell. I think it's fun. I knew it was a Chappell.
Outside off stump and left alone again by Asad Shafiq. Good carry this time from Wood, but needs to make Shafiq play. There's still a short leg in place.
We could have loads of fun with this. So that was Tim's question. Chess boxing is inexplicably popular. So what? Strange, weird, and idiosyncratic combinations could we make for cricket with
hybrid sports? I do like the idea of the ground staff sweeping the ball along, though.
Yeah, like I said, they do it in Somerset.
I like that.
They do it in Somerset.
Asad Shafiq is setting up to face this from Mark Wood. Does have to play it. Jabs at it outside off stump. Takes a quick single, which when you've got Azhar Ali at the other end is sometimes fraught with danger. But Azhar responded to the call, and Asad Shafiq is off the mark.
Justin Smith says, "I shall take you up on your offer." This, I think, is in replying to Abhishek. And listen to Guerilla Cricket as I head down to NCU Knights versus LCU Lightning later today.
Oh, that's the Northern Knights and Leinster Lightning, so he's an Irishman.
He
based in Ireland, at least.
Well, if he is, then
you could have
I hope you heard some of us last week.
You claimed your 10 euros back if you'd come on the last day.
Yeah.
Or 5 years. Or 5 years, or 5 years, whatever it was. We seemed to change it.
Yeah.
And then the man who was actually supposed to dispense it buggered off and got pissed. So we had a bit of a problem.
Wood back round the wicket to Azhar Ali, who stands up tall and plays this nicely down, controlled between short leg and leg slip, down to long leg for a single. Pakistan are now over the halfway mark in terms of their chase. They are 93 for 2, trail by 91. We have
this would be quite good.
I have some comments on YouTube, by the way. Hassan Musanna says, I don't know why the English board blocked this test on YouTube live streaming. I think that YouTube live streaming is the TMS feed, is that they on YouTube, but I think it's geo-blocked in certain places. And has another comment, which I'll bring you after this ball from Mark Wood. Wide of the crease from round the wicket. Nicely played by Asad Shafiq.
Oh, he's going to be in trouble!
Nicely played by Asad Shafiq. Terribly run by Azhar Ali. There was never a single there. And Shafiq set off. Why Azhar Ali didn't just say no, stay where you are, I have no idea. He had to slide in. Dom Best came flying in from the offside, had one stop to aim at, picked up the ball through and narrowly missed the stumps, and Azhar Ali didn't get the full dive in and he was gone. Asad Shafiq played it very nicely, but oh my lord, Azhar Ali. What is going on with his running?
In reality, there really wasn't a single there at all.
Absolutely.
No, for either of them.
Absolutely not. I think Azhar Ali wanted... Shafiq said yes initially. Azhar should have just said no. Immediately. Asad Shafiq was on the back foot. He wasn't going anywhere.
Well, I was just about to say, he's only faced 5 balls. Wokes is your fastest... Woody's your fastest man. You want him down at Woody's end, giving him some of this rib-tickling stuff.
Could have been a slice of luck that...
he's a short man.
It's kind of the run out's the only way that Azhar Ali's looked like getting out. That was the end of the over, by the way, so Shafiq will be back on strike. I think put the KP Red Bull single back in the locker. Stokes is continuing. Pakistan 94 for 2 into the 40th over now, outside off stump, a gentle outswinger, which Asad Shafiq leaves outside off stump. Yeah, the other comment from Hassan Musanna on YouTube was, please, sir, very polite, you talk about some Andrew Strauss and cricket future.
Andrew Strauss and cricket future. Well, Andrew Strauss he's taken a sabbatical. Well, not sabbatical. His wife's ill, isn't it?
Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, we wish
reasons.
We wish Andrew Strauss and his wife and all affected by his wife's illness very well. Our thoughts with him as this is back of a length and worked by Asad Shafiq to mid wicket, and there is no run. Yes, Andy Flower's going to be taking over some of Strauss's responsibilities while Strauss attends to more important family matters.
Ravi Nair says, chess, you make your move between overs, show it on 2 channels. One gets between overs ads and the other gets between moves, ads and analysis.
I see.
Well, surely if it's boxing and chess, don't you have a move, throw a punch?
No, the way it works is that you have a round of boxing and then a 3-minute round of chess, and you win by either knockout or checkmate. This is I'm not joking, that's actually true. Outside off stump, nicely controlled by Asad Shafiq, plays the Kane Williamson defensive off the middle through third man, down to the boundary for his first 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's interesting actually how often cricket borrows the language of boxing. You punch it through the covers, you can play the hook shot. And there's other ones.
The jab.
Well. The jab, yeah.
The uppercut.
The uppercut's a little more rare, but maybe not in T20.
Well, I don't know.
Not in T20.
I saw Adam Gilchrist do it to Andy Caddick.
Oh, yes.
Back in 2000, Edgbaston, I think, 2001.
And do we have time before the 4th ball of this over? No, we don't.
Stokes is in over the wicket. That one took off from nowhere. It was a lifter from a length delivery, but it was outside off stump, so Asad Shafiq could just leave it on line. But Stokes is extracting some bounce from the nursery end.
And
as
away movement.
Yeah, as both Abbas and Hassan Ali did yesterday. Interesting. This pitch is not... Lord's pitches have tended to flatten out over the course of the test match. This one hasn't shown any signs of doing so yet.
Last year's was Bunsen burner, wasn't it, if I remember right?
Last year's was the best Lord's pitch I've seen for a long time in a test match. Had some movement, had some turn, and had some pace. This is a fuller delivery, which Asad Shafiq strokes nicely through the covers. It's a long chase from Joe Root from mid-off, accompanied by, who's that? Josh Butler from cover. Root does slide, Butler does throw, and Asad Shafiq picks himself up 3. Moves to 9.
Joe Leon has said, Root is a confused and muddled shadow of himself. I still can't understand his decision to bat first. And his shot to get out was worse than anything Vince has ever managed to produce.
Yeah, at least Vince gets out trying to hit the ball for 4. Root was just Root actually decelerated into the shot.
When you saw his beehive, literally every ball he faced, which obviously wasn't that many, was pretty well straight. And then the one that got him, it was well wide of off stump, and he clearly reached for it when he didn't need to.
Stokes is in outside off stump. Good lead from Azhar Ali. It did most of its movement really after it passed the stumps, and Azhar Ali, comfortably leaves through to Johnny Bairstow, end of the over. Yeah, and yes, he didn't need to play it. Yes, he got suckered in as soon as the change up was thrown in there. Pakistan didn't really have to wait for any of their plans to work at any point yesterday.
Abhishek Chopra says, I think this is a conversation he's in, so but he is telling people how to tune in, so I will read it. Fantastic. I'm sure you can figure out this bit, but still, all you need to do is download TuneIn or Simple Radio or your smartphone on your smartphone and look for Guerilla Cricket.
Yeah, or go to our website.
Obviously, go to our website. It's the other way.
Someone's donated 30 quid on our Just Giving page.
Yay. Thank you for that.
Who is it? I'm going to give you a shout out if this thing will refresh. Simon Leng.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you,
Simon.
Simon.
Very much, Simon.
Thank you. He says thank. He then bags the BBC in his comment, but we'll leave that. We don't need that. But thank you anyway for your very generous donation. Wood is continuing with this Woody line. Start of the 41st over. It's bouncer, which Asa Shafiq ducks.
Pillsbury Atta has said.
Through the keeper there is no run.
Sorry, would you agree this is the best and deepest batting lineup to ever tour England? I mean, just for Pakistan or generally?
I don't think
I'm
so.
assuming for Pakistan.
I mean, South Africa have toured England with Sean Pollock batting at 8 and or Klusner at 8 and Pollock at 9. This is back of a length and worked by Asa Shafiq in typically compact manner past the right hand of Joe Root, who manages to lose various things from his pockets and his head as he slides from short leg. His cap and his sunglasses fell out of his back pocket. Asa Shafiq moves to 10 of 12. One of those batsmen who can get to 25 without you noticing.
Gerrit Dusseldorf says, ice cricket already exists. They missed a trick by not making the participants put on skates. What a lovely idea.
Yes,
and he sent a YouTube clip, which we can have a look at.
It was earlier this year in San Moritz, a sort of all-star, old-school, old boys team. Shoaib Akhtar and Virendra Sehwag and Wasim and a few others. In comes Wood, driven with no great foot movement by Azhar Ali, just compactly pushing into the offside, fielded by Joss Butler, a short extra. There is no run.
At the end of this over, Fred and Batlers, can you come in? And me and Knuckle will go off. Tony will take over comms.
I think that's right. Sounds good.
A couple of comments on YouTube. Malik Jabbar says Pakistan will win. And Eco Stephen says, plugs the archive. It's ace.
Oh, yeah, the archive, of course.
Dave Wood has suggested cricket and bog snorkeling. Clearly spent some time watching Chris Tavare bat.
Back of a length and worked on the bounce by Azhar Ali on the bounce to, as I say, to Joe Root at short leg. Little bit of a crouch as though Azhar Ali wanted the single, was down into a sprinter's position, but was comfortably taken by Root, so there is no run. 40.4 overs gone. Pakistan 102 for 2 as a cloud of smoke descends from my right.
He's smoking. He's not actually on fire. Billy Tweddle says cricket fencing. The bat and the helmet could be used in both. Yes,
quite.
I think we were talking about that
one. Bouncer from Wood, which Azhar Ali defends jumpily but reasonably well, making sure he got on top of the bounce and pushed it down again between the gap the gap between short leg and leg slip for a single. Stokes does some fielding. Azhar picks up a single. 103 for 2, last ball of my spell.
Abhishek having some conversation around cricket and the 100-ball bullshit, which he considers to be 2 different sports. I think if I'm reading the tweet right,
no
which is a fair point.
No one knows what the 100 is today.
No, if it'll actually ever happen. Much like Brexit. Anyway, at the end of this over, I'm going to give you a jingle from our sponsor.
A little gentle outswinger, nicely played by Asa Shafiq, just getting himself into a nice position and pushing to the right hand of Butler at extra cover, who has to chase this a good sort of 25 yards back towards the mid-off boundary. Asa Shafiq picks up 2, he's on 12, Azhar Ali is on 43. 41 overs gone, Pakistan 105 for 2, and a word from our benefactor.
Jason Statham, check this out. Hey, look at this, Jason Statham. Look at me. Oh. Life is a tale told by an idiot. full of sound and fury, you numpty.
Oh, sorry, Jason Statham.
Men with Ven, driving from Barking to Deptford. www.menwithven.biz.
Driving from Barking to Deptford.
Indeed, that's our sponsor, Men with Ven. He was in yesterday, he's in again tomorrow.
He is. They've also got a great song about a shed that I seem to remember listening to.
Yeah.
In my shed.
He's a bit of a genius, man.
105.42 Pakistan. It's going to be Ben Stokes into Azhar Ali, and he has leant back and crunched this away through point down to, I think, the mound stand for 4 runs.
In fact, yes, I've got 4. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, short and just enough width for Azhar Ali just to right on top of that. Played it late, played it with soft hands, played it wide of point, and just away it went. Absolutely superbly executed cut shot.
He's a lovely man to watch when he's in.
He is a lovely man to watch. So Ben Stokes is going to be in again, 75 the deficit. He's right arm over, and this one again is slightly short up into the sort of chest area of Azhar Ali, but he's again what's more right on top of it, pushes it away to mid-wicket where the floppy-hatted Stuart Broad is able to just pick the ball up, and they will jog a comfortable single.
We need to get another wicket, don't we?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's going to bring Asad Shafiq, who has been bowled 21% of the time. Am I reading those stats right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's been bowled 16% of the time. All players, 21% of the time.
I'm with you. Okay. So he's not bowled that often, effectively. No. None for 25 Ben Stokes has. That ball is wide of Shafiq. He's able to leave that comfortably alone. 110 for 2 are Pakistan. Azhar Ali going very nicely indeed. He's just too shy of a landmark. His 50 of 124 balls, which shows he's been watchful, patient, and just punished the bad ball when he needed to.
He's been very watchful. I mean, he played and missed a couple of times early last night, didn't he?
He did.
But other than that, he's been very patient.
Ben Stokes is in, right arm over from the nursery end, and this one does shape away, just ducked in a little bit and then moved away in the air from Shafiq. Discretion was much the better part of valour there, decided to leave it, and it is through to the gloves of Johnny Bairstow. It's a bit of a cutter, wasn't it? How are we doing for tweets?
Scott Devine is asking which cricketers in the current England squad has the most crossover potential. Stokes as a boxer.
Yes, obviously.
That would do it. That would do it.
I think Bairstow did quite good on that front too.
Joe Root fishing after yesterday, I suspect. As in comes Stokes one more. This one's a bit of a horrible ball, slid down leg side, has Johnny Bairstow diving away to his left in front of the pavilion, and there is no run.
Swing it both ways is saying hello, pack collapse imminent. Now methinks England doomed.
Yeah,
we rather fear you could be right there. England need another breakthrough.
I mean, we do. I mean, there's a chance of getting a cluster of wickets if we can get a breakthrough. These are the two most experienced Pakistan batsmen in the side, aren't they? This is the engine of the side.
And Shafiq is ready, and this one again. Now he had a little fish outside off stump there as Stokes effected just enough movement off the pitch to have him stretching forward without really moving the feet to the pitch of the ball. But that will encourage Ben Stokes, and it was a bit of a lazy shot all round. Johnny Bairstow comfortably behind it on this occasion. And again, that's another one that maybe yesterday you have a feel an England batsman would have got an edge to, and we'd have been going, what's he doing?
Yeah, there's a good chance.
And today, a Pakistan batsman, seeing, is that James Fox?
I think it is,
It is, look at that.
God, he looks old.
Well, he is old. That's probably why. There's a reason for his looking old.
Well,
it's the fact he is.
Well, this is it. I remember him. He was in the Dad of Jackal, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Was that James Fox or Edward Fox?
No,
I get confused.
James Fox.
Oh, I think it's. Now that's a good no. I think you've got a good point there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to look it up now. Or someone going to tell me.
Who plays Hathaway in the spin-off of Morse, which I can't remember that. Lewis.
He's
a Fox, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah, Lawrence Fox.
Lawrence Fox. Yes, it is.
And there's Cecilia Fox is in Silent Witness.
We have a change of bowler, and it is going to be Dom Bess.
Yeah, I've got to find his jingle.
Looking for spin.
I know it's in here somewhere. Here it is.
Emerge from the county scene where it rises to rain. It's on
That's Warren Deacon.
Warren Deacon, yeah.
Selected for the low test, the latest in a long line of sinners who turned out to be rejects.
We've had a lovely little message here on YouTube as well. Greg Wilson, he says, I'm a Kiwi living in Western Australia and loving your commentary.
Oh, fantastic.
Great job. My wife cracks up at all your jingles.
Well, that's good to know.
Thank you, Mrs. Greg Wilson.
And for Dom there, we're using simply the best as opposed to from the Porgian best, which we had before, which was lovely. Louis Armstrong. Anyway, a false run-up this time. He's turned away, clearly not comfortable his run-up, or I think the Azhar Ali just pulled out and something obviously was distracting him behind the bowler's arm. So Bess is going to be in once more from the pavilion end. He whirls that right arm and comfortably forward comes Azhar Ali. Pushes that away to mid-on and there's no run.
I like his flight.
Yep. He's first class average of 23, which is not bad. Oh, sorry, that's his batting. First class bowling average.
It's quite low, isn't it?
At the end of this ball. And that one, well, my goodness me, he got that to just turn back into, in fact.
I think Azaz wants to impose himself here, doesn't he? New spinner. Yeah. First debut in a test match. Don't want him settling. It's probably a little bit of rough outside the off stump from the bowlers going over and round the wickets.
Dom Bess again. This one is doesn't really turn. It's up onto the off stump and forward comes Azhar Ali to push that away into the onside. He's got his bowling average, first class bowling average is 22 and a half.
Well, that's pretty bloody good.
And 63 first class wickets. A lot of them, of course, though, on a Somerset Turner, but nonetheless, he's earned his place here for sure. He's in again.
Oh!
And that was looking for a sweep shot that got a top edge. And perhaps after previous misdemeanours in running between the wicket, they decided to not do that. And in fact, Azhar Ali is just rubbing his forearm. So perhaps it was, well, it definitely came up off the bat. I think there was a bit of everything in that. There was a bit of bat. A bit of bat, it ran up the pad and then maybe also took his arm on the way as well. In comes Bess once more.
Too flat, and this is worked away in again into the onside. This time they will scamper a quick single. So Azhar Ali is one step nearer his 50. He's on 49. Asad Shafiq is on 12, and he's faced 17 balls, and he's facing now Dom Bess. Now, Jim H wants to know, after this ball actually,
Bess to Shafiq.
Ooh.
Leaning forward is Shafiq. They will take a single. That's gone backward of point, and they will again take a quick single.
I like from what I've seen. This is only the second over I've seen of him. I like him. I like the fact that he gives it a bit of air. He's not afraid to toss it up. I like that in a spinner. Anyway, Jim H says, why does no one ever try to hold Broad and Anderson to account for bowling too short? They acknowledge they don't hit their lengths, but no one ever challenges on why there's no improvement.
Well, it's difficult when you look at the number of wickets.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's harsh when you look at the number of wickets they take, and but they do go through spells where they're pretty bloody innocuous because they're bowling too short and too wide, and then they suddenly click into a little spell and get you a load of wickets.
Yeah, not only that, they do that an awful lot with the new ball as well. So it's not that they bowl short and wide. They take 15, 20 overs off the new ball.
Yeah, exactly. It can be very frustrating, but then if they get into a groove early, then you can see them destroy sides.
It's going to be Ben Stokes again from the nursery end.
Too wide.
And it was bowled wide. Yes, it was wide to Asad Shafiq, and he's able to just let that through to a diving Johnny Bairstow behind the stumps. 112 for 2. So England lost 3 wickets yesterday morning, didn't they? Weren't they 40? Were they something
43 for 3? I think.
43 for 3 at lunch. That's right. Pakistan just lost 1 this morning, and they'll be feeling. They're quite comfortably on top of this, I think.
What we have neglected to mention for a little while is the fact.
In comes Stokes, right arm over, and forward comes Asad Shafiq, and there is no run.
We should add that the GPL is open, and you have about 28 minutes to enter. Now, we've had 4 entries this morning. The pot started at 64, so it'll be 66 now. The Duke of Bellingham is in twice on 244 and 274. 282 is Lancashire Bloke. 284 is Badger 21. I don't know who Badger 21 is.
Badger 21.
He's a new man.
Well, from the family of Badgers. He's got 20 brothers.
Welcome along. I'll explain it.
As anyway, Stokes is in as we try and work out Badger 21's GPL. Its forward is Shafiq, and again there is no run. We just caught a glimpse actually of Spring Bob Harris in the crowd. Big cricket man.
Ah, yes. No, so the GPL. Choose how many. You've got to go to the website, read the rules or whatever, and you've got to enter. You probably register with the site. Choose the amount of runs that will be scored in the entirety of the day's play. You've got until lunchtime to guess that, and whoever gets it spot on wins the pot. If the pot is not won, it rolls over to the next day. Simple. Simple.
Halfway through his 9th over.
Sure.
And this is nicely driven to a fullish ball by Asad Shafiq. Did they scamper a single there? I don't think they did. Again, probably thought better of it. It was beautifully driven, but there was a man at mid-off and therefore no run.
Nick Nelson is stopped dead in traffic on the Cross Bronx Expressway, so he's glad that we're with him.
Oh, that doesn't sound very pleasant.
I've been stuck on that road myself. As Shafiq is steadies himself. And this one is down leg side from Stokes, and it's turned off his legs quite beautifully by Shafiq. Will go down to long leg where there isn't a long leg, and be 4 runs.
You gotta have fun, you gotta have fun to be more.
Ben Stokes has a curse to himself, which we can't quite see and lip read, but I suspect it was along the lines of something we probably don't want to say.
Indeed.
We've still got some suggestions coming in. As I'll
just hold up for this ball as in comes Stokes, and Shafiq is nicely forward. Stokes tidies up off his own bowling. There's no run.
Dave Wood suggesting cricket kabaddi, where the cordon slip played kabaddi between balls.
What a great! That's the only game I know where you actually shout the name of the game as part of the game.
I've never seen kabaddi. What
kabaddi.
Yeah, I know, I've heard it, but what do you actually? Is it a ball game or is it?
Well, we need someone to explain the rules to us. The only bit I actually know is that you have to shout kabaddi. It's a bit like playing football and running around. Imagine playing cricket and you run around going cricket, cricket, cricket
exactly.
for most of the game.
It's a bit weird.
It is a bit odd. 116 for 2. Any more tweets there?
Pillsbury Atta says she's suggesting cricket and shot put, if only to make up for ridiculous bat sizes and short boundaries.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Would you have like a cricket ball that's like several pounds in weight?
Made out of lead.
Made out of lead. That would do it, wouldn't it?
God, that'd be cool.
It might slow down the run rate a bit in some T20 games. I'd like to see even Brendan McCullum start heaving that over the boundary.
And Michael Michael Wood says Stokes might act like a boxer, but his da was a professional rugby league player, and given his build, he could probably switch over.
Anyway, it's going to be Dom Bess, and he's going to be into Azhar Ali, who's on 49. So he has some company around the bat, and very, very sweetly and confidently forward, leg fully extended. Azhar Ali plays that back to Dom Bess to field off his own bowling.
Interesting little battle here. Azhar wants to get on top.
It is. We got a man under the lid. I think that's Joe Root, isn't it? And we have a slip in place.
I think that's Cookie under the helmet.
Is it Cook under the helmet?
He was under the helmet.
Root had gone in there earlier.
He got hit, didn't he? Someone bowled a shit ball down the leg side in New Zealand, one of the spinners.
Not for the first time.
Might have been Leach.
It isn't.
And he got cracked.
You're right, it is Cookie. And not for the first time. Bess has had a false run in, but he's in now. Forward again is Azhar Ali, and once again it is directly back to the bowler to field off his own bowling. So he's keeping it nice and tight. He knows he's got a man close to a landmark of 50. None for 6 off 2.2 overs thus far. He's in again. He just gave that one a little bit more zip. And once again Azhar is back this time and comfortably playing it. So he's not looking desperately penetrative, but he is bowling it tightly, and he is trying to build a little bit of pressure on Azhar Ali here.
I think that's the important thing to do.
He's
here.
in once more, and this one is wide of off stump and is just flicked away backward of point. They will take a single, and Azhar Ali has his 50.
Well batted, Azhar. Now we changed everything around, didn't we?
Oh.
50 runs.
Here it is.
Your 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs. Your 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
And in comes Bess again, and down the track this time. comes Shafiq, but he doesn't really get the full meat on it.
Yeah, he got beaten in the flight.
Got beaten in the flight, and it's away into the onside. Gets a big step forward, and I think he was looking to hike him back over his head, and ended up pushing it just almost between the legs of the man at forward short leg. So they take a single, and it brings the man who's just made his 50. A thoughtful-looking Alistair Cook, wondering how that got through him, but not sure he could have done too much about it. In comes Dom Best. This time he does mean to flick it into the onside, but it is straight to mid-wicket, where Mark Stoneman does the fielding, and there's no run.
He's bowled a couple of decent overs there. I mean, a couple of singles off them, but he's beaten them both in the flight.
It's his 28th 50, Azhar Ali, in Test cricket.
He's a class man.
He is a class act. He's a class act. Well, the end of that over has come. How are we doing on tweets there?
Steve Caddett thinks that we shouldn't have Stokes as a boxer because he's watched the video and there are plenty of wild swings but not much technique.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yes.
You can probably teach him technique though.
Mark Thomas has got a technical question for us. He says, given his record, is losing the toss to Joe Root a benefit for the opposition?
Say again?
He's thinking that clearly he doesn't think much of a Root's record. He says, is losing the toss to Joe Root a benefit for the opposition team?
Well, it's been a couple of times, hasn't it?
Well, it was one of those that I think he'd be genuinely, potentially, obviously Pakistan said, yeah, well, we'd have fielded anyway, so we're happy. But the reality is it was probably a good toss to lose and let someone else make the decision.
Right,
nonetheless, it's a change of bowling, and it's going to be Jimmy Anderson back.
I'll let him have his first ball, and then we'll have a jingle.
He's a right arm over and in, and Shafiq is on top of that. Just trickles it back to the bowler, and there's no run.
Jimmy was a local boy, but he see much more than the change in the weather. Sitting in a uniform of a three-piece suit and a ribbons from his past.
There you go. It's Jimmy.
And he's 66 now. The deficit has
look
been
it.
reduced to. No, he's not. He's not 66. He's in again. Arms pumping. Right arm over. A little bit of swing, but as Shafiq is not troubled by that, and he's nicely on top of it to push it away into the offside for no run.
That's a better length, isn't it? Now, we were discussing yesterday, look, he's dyed his hair, hasn't he?
I think he has, yeah. He's looking...
It looks a bit sort of copper tinge in there.
We were slightly worried earlier that the whole... that every player had slightly purple hair, and we thought our TV might be on the blink.
Yeah, it's almost burgundy.
It is. But apparently, I didn't realise this, but apparently he dyed it blonde earlier in the week.
He did. Oh, yeah, no, he had...
so to get rid of that, we figured
like Billy Idol.
He's dyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look, and I think even I think he realised that was the case as he's in now. And top edged. Shafiq was looking to push that away into the onside, and he got a top edge, and it squirted away into the offside. There's a man at point, which is Dom Best, and he runs backwards. And he ends up getting a single for what was really a ball that nipped back at him and squared him up and beat him all end up.
That's a bit of luck there, isn't it? Really, that could have gone bloody anywhere, and it had to go into a gap.
It could. So a man who's taken over 532 now, is he?
Yeah.
First class wickets, Jimmy Anderson. That's the kind of ball he will bowl. And it was a
what
superb
sort of stat is that?
delivery.
Close to the stumps, average 33.46. So if you're a right arm seamer, you bowl wide of the stumps, and you're more likely to get him.
That one's straying a little bit onto leg, and Azhar Ali is able to just push it away to mid on, and there's no run.
Okay, so that.
Yeah, we're looking at Shafiq's facing of seam in the dismissals versus England 2016.
And 4 were from wider, and 3 were from closer.
Yeah, or was that the other way around? The other way around, I think. I think it's the white balls there that represent the wickets.
I thought they were all wickets.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Ah.
I think they were showing the ones close to the wickets and the ones wider of the
the
wickets.
suggestion is you need to push it wider at the stumps for him.
Oh,
and that's really close.
Absolutely plumb.
Absolutely plumb. The bear, a.k.a. Trigger Bear, had already...
Trigger Tony.
Trigger Bear had already given it, and I think they're even discussing it.
It's only a question of whether he got a little
sumptuous
tickle.
Delivery from Anderson, and he was forwards, but to be honest, I mean that...
It could only be height, because it was
Possibly. I think they've given the England players.
I don't think he's bothering, is he? I think he's bothering.
I mean, if he'd have got, if he thought he got a little bit of a tickle on the inside edge, he'd have gone up straight away.
Bang on the knee roll. He wasn't that far forward.
That's plumb.
Jimmy Anderson's utterly convinced. You know, there's those appeals when the wicketkeeper goes up first and the bowler thinks, well, I'd better do it as well. And it's more than clipping the top of middle stump.
Yes.
And he's gone.
Excellent.
He has gone for 50.
You know, weirdly, I was watching one of those old Top of the Pops that Andy Ward always watches, and they had, I think it's NSYNC did that, didn't they? And had them doing that with that bit in. I was like, what the fuck? It was all a bit too weird. It was really bloody weird. Total 80s pop. Terrible song as well that comes from.
Well, I think the next, we're talking of be 70s actually, the next man should be, would it not be Abar Azam?
This man.
Well, hang on, don't play it yet because we're not sure it is.
Oh, it is.
Play it anyway.
In the right order.
Well, here's another man who's warmed up reasonably nicely for this test, playing some proper, extremely competitive cricket as a warm-up to a tour. He made 59 before being run out by the man we now call poor Andy Balbirnie. In fact, for poor Andy Balbirnie, it was the one high point, I think, apart from getting his cap, was the running out of Babar Azam, but he had made 59 by the time he was run out.
Eco Stevens just simply says, "Yay!" I think that's...
that must be about the wicket, or is
must
he just,
be about the wicket,
just having a moment?
Yeah, maybe he's having a moment. The wicket was the moment.
Wicket was the moment. So it does bring the 23-year-old Babar Azam, Mohammed Babar Azam, to give him his full name. And what else did he do in Malahide? Oh, he made 14, didn't he? Before falling to the all-Middlesex Sterling Murtagh combination. And he's going to be facing Jimmy Anderson. And Anderson is right arm over and in. And Babar is comfortably forward. The man at mid-off is tall, floppy-hatted, and can only be Anderson's bowling partner, Stuart Broad. And we're having another look at that. And honestly, I know I'm a man who likes to consider an LBW decision, take my time, and really only give it after a lot of due consideration.
Really? But really? Are you really telling me the truth there, Tony?
That was as plumb as plumb can be. And I think the fact that they actually decided not to review it tells you all you need to know, really, doesn't it? So, a moment that England desperately needed in this game. It was starting to look ominous. It still looks fairly ominous. It was 65 is the deficit, and only still 7 wickets in hand. It's going to be Dom Bess once more, and he's bowling from the pavilion end, and he's right arm over, and not for the first time. Oh, and this time actually he doesn't field off his own bowling. He lets it slip through his fingers, and I think it's Mark Stoneman has to do a little sweeping up behind him. Nonetheless, no run was taken. Sad Shafiq is still on 19. Watchful and ready as Dom Bess whirls his arm, he's in, and this one is pushed away nicely to mid-on, and they will take a single this time. So good sharp running, and it gives Babar Azam a chance to have a look at Dom Bess for the first time. We'll probably do tweets at the end of this over.
Yeah,
when you have spinners on, it's always quite...
It's always quite,
You can sort of meander your way through a number of tweets when you get the opportunity for faster bowlers, but it doesn't work so well with spinners. And we're watching. Although that said, Babar is carefully taking strike. We're looking from the stump cam with a beautiful view of the Lord's Pavilion behind or in front of him. Bess is looking thoughtfully. He's
quite an odd-looking man, isn't he?
Well, in what capacity is he odd there?
Well, he's got a very triangular. He's very sort of narrow at the bottom of his face, and his head goes out. It's quite triangular.
He does triangular head. You're right. He's in. And actually, Babar was back, jabbing down slightly on that. Wasn't the most comfortable of defensive shots. So again, he's clearly not a man fazed by the big occasion, is Dom Bess. And Lords today is 95% full. I can see a few gaps as we look around, but
sure people will be drifting in after lunch.
People will be drifting in. In comes Bess again, and that one just probably slightly a wrong one for an off break bowler. And
it just came on
back, didn't it? A little bit. Maybe more going on with the arm than
it was more going on
actually
with the
moving
arm.
back from leg to off.
I don't know what variations he would have.
He's in once more. This one he pushes through, and Barbara Azam is able to push this away into the offside, no run.
I like the look of him. I've got to say, seems to be he's only in his 4th over, but Jack Leach I quite liked, but I thought he was a bit inconsistent with his length and line.
None for 9 off 3 thus far, or 3.5, nearly 4. And that one again is pushed through, just shaping a little bit more onto leg this time, and pushed to backward square where there is a man, and therefore no run. So yes, tweets.
Darren Mace is waking up to our first full day in Barbados.
Oh,
nice.
Sounds nice.
Absolutely.
So he is actually somewhere where he should be, where he's not at work.
And he says, has it got any better? Well, yes, it has got better, because England have taken a couple of wickets this morning.
Indeed. They're still behind, and we're three in. He gets Shafiq out, and one more, I think, in reasonable quick succession.
Add 2 to the score. They always say that. Add 2 wickets to the score. It can look a very different game, as we're looking at the clock. Old Father time.
It's about 12 minutes till lunch. I'll give you a little quick update in a minute on the GPL.
Been a feature at Lords since, I think, is it 1926, as Jamie Anderson is in. And forward comes Asad Shafiq, pushes that away to mid-off, and there's no run.
We've had another few entries from CP White 1 has gone 243, 250 and 254. It's all cramming in there between 244 and 284 at the moment.
Yeah. Yes, Old Father time, a gift I think to Lords in 1926. Survived the Blitz, where it got tangled up in a barrage balloon, found its way back to the grandstand, and moved in 1996, I think.
Got caught up in a barrage balloon?
It did.
Wow.
In a bit. So anyway, Anderson is forward, and Anderson is in. Shafiq is forward. He's pushing it away into the onside, and there's no run.
What, did the barrage balloon lose its moorings and start floating off and grab Old Father time on its way?
Well, I think it did.
And then they shot it down?
So anyway, he's only been a feature of the mound stand, I think, since the mid... But he's been a feature of Lords since 1926. About 6 foot something in total height. I think he's 5'4" himself. So when you look at it from a distance, he doesn't look 5'4" tall, but that's how tall he is.
Yeah.
Anderson is in, and Shafiq is forward. England have got a little spring in their step now.
Yep, rightly so.
Very lively bit of fielding from Joe Root. So 120 for 3. We're halfway through the 48th over, which is being bowled by James Anderson. 64 the deficit, but we have a new man at the crease in Barbara Azam. He's faced 5 for no runs yet. And of course Shafiq, who's on 20 off 33. And at the end of this delivery from Anderson, we'll catch up on other tweets. Anderson is in. That one is edged with soft hands down to Joss Butler, who's kind of in a 4th slip position, I think. Was he in gully there? I'd say more 4th slip.
We're still
nicely on top of that.
We're still getting suggestions for sports crossovers. Abhishek
fantastic.
Chopra is coming with cricket and football after that. After all that practice on the morning of the match, especially when there's a rain delay on a wet outfield, should prove to be handy.
Well, there was, of course, a time when footballers played cricket in the summer and cricketers played football in the winter, as it were. And that's a terrific ball by Anderson, and Shafiq wasn't quite sure what he was trying to do there. He ended up looking to try and jab it down, and I think just got enough bat on it. And Anderson is getting some movement off the pitch now. That jumped up at Shafiq and caught him right on the top of the bat handle. They thought briefly about a single, but it would have been suicidal to do it. 120 for 3. I said Shafiq is on 20. He's being given a stern examination here by Anderson, who's in down again. That one moves away. And Shafiq just... Now I'm thinking about the ball that got Dawid Malan. And it was so similar. Again, it was... he wasn't forward, he wasn't back. It was a slightly imperceptible, indeterminate move. Malan got an edge, and Shafiq did not. It's just one of those things. Just some days your luck's in and some days it's not. But the encouraging thing I think here for England is that Anderson is getting some substantial movement both on the pitch and in the air.
Yeah.
And for a ball that's 48 overs old, should offer them some promise and some encouragement, I think.
Well, yeah, the Pakistanis got something out of the ball pretty much the entire way through England's innings, to be fair.
There's Dom Bess once again. He's pushing it through. to Barbara Azam, making him work for that first run, trying to build that pressure. Exactly the right thing to do.
It is indeed, and it's good as well because he gets good flight. He must get quite a bit of top spin, overspin to be able to get it up there at that pace and get it down. He does. It's pretty good going.
Spinning the ball from hand to hand as he's in now. That one is shorter and wider, and Barber is able just to lean back and crunch that away as it heads towards the grandstand and is into the ropes now for 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's first time for a while he's just strayed off the line that he's been trying to probe, and it was short and wide, and there was only going to be one result. He's in again from the pavilion end, and Barber, as if to emphasise the fact that he'll play the bad balls, he'll get runs off the bad balls, and he'll watchfully defend the good ones. He pushes this back to Dom Bess, and there is no run. 124 for 3. We're halfway through the 49th over. Dom Bess is in and forward again. Is Barber, and Dom Bess just strolls forward, leans down, picks the ball up. There's no sense of hurry and about the delivery, the bowling or the fielding in that instance. The number 13, 4 overs. He can be encouraged with his debut. I'm sure he'd love that first wicket. That one again, though, a little bit shorter, a little bit wider, and Barber is up on top of it. It's pushed down through gully. It won't go all the way. Mark Wood is scampering after it to haul it up, even with the slope in its favour. The ball wasn't going to win that battle. It was more of a gentle push or a cut than it was a full-blooded shot.
He's throwing out there a little bit wider. He's hoping that something will come back in from out there, but it doesn't look like it's going to.
Brings 3 runs for Barber Azam anyway. So he cedes the strike to Asad Shafiq, and he will face the last ball of this 5th Dom Bess over. And very nicely forward he is too, to push it away into the mid-wicket region, and there's no run. Tweets.
Josh Holland is trying to educate us about kabaddi.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, please.
Apparently you've got to leave your half of the field, tag as many opponents as possible, and get back without being tackled or running out of breath to say kabaddi.
Oh, so you only say kabaddi when...
No, I was under the impression that you had to say kabaddi all the time you were in the opposition's half.
You just run around going kabaddi, kabaddi,
I think so.
kabaddi,
I
kabaddi,
thought
kabaddi.
so.
Oh,
okay, and if you can't say kabaddi and you're not back in time, then you're out, I presume, or something?
Yeah. Colin Rosenthal says that I'd have thought Mark Wood and any form of equestrianism would go well.
Jimmy Anderson is going to be continuing. He's about to bowl his 11th over. He has 1 for 24. He's a right arm over, and Barber jabs down on that. I think that is Joe Root at that point, who is moving away to his left, and no run is taken.
Might get one more in over and after this. So you've got about 5 minutes left to enter the GPL.
The man who goes way has joined us.
Yay, way!
Yeah, fantastic. What's the GPL? What's the pot? The pot
is at. I will tell you
right now. You can tell me after this delivery. There's Jimmy Anderson picking up his speed from the nursery end, and that one is worked away into the onside, where Mark Wood at mid-wicket does the fielding, and they will take a comfortable single.
The pot is at £68.
£68, not to be sneezed at.
Not to be sneezed at.
Not to be sneezed at.
And it's even. I've got 4 minutes to enter.
128 for 3, Pakistan. We're about to be halfway through the 50th over. 56 the deficit. How England would crave one more wicket this side of lunch. 3 slips are in place. Shafiq is forward though. Jimmy Anderson tidies up off his own bowling, and there's no run. 84 miles an hour. But he's never expressed pace really, is he, Jimmy, these days? But he just relies on his movement. The clock on Old Father Time shows 4 minutes, so I think we'll get through this over and possibly one more.
Occasionally he gets up into the 85s, doesn't he, Jimmy? But most of the time he's 82, 83. Although whenever they put his average speeds up, it's always 84 or something. But whenever I look, it's 82.
He's in once more, and straight through to Johnny Bairstow. How are we doing for tweets?
Busfield sent us a picture.
Oh, fantastic. What of?
Looks like it's him, and I think it... well, yeah, he's at Lord's.
Oh, good.
Ah. Good for you.
Whereabouts is he at Lords?
It looks like he's in the mound stand, or could be the which is the Compton or Edrich? Which one's next to it? I can never remember which one it is.
Compton,
one of those.
Edrich. I know I'm in the Compton upper tomorrow. As Jimmy Anderson is into Asad Shafiq.
Ooh.
Dabs that down. They take a very, very sharp single indeed. Now that one was well run.
It was.
That wasn't the Pakistani suicide running we've come to know and love. That was just a sharply taken single.
King Khan wants to know if we can have the live streaming of the video. No, we can't. That would be illegal. I think that's why we think we've been kicked off of Facebook. Someone thinks that we're streaming some real video, which is really annoying. And Echo Stevens says cross games. England opening the batting and Russian roulette.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
I thought we were playing that already.
Yeah. I thought the toss and Russian roulette, to be honest. And Anderson is in, and Barbara Azam is forward. Stuart Broad is the man at mid on, and there's no run.
Will they get one more in? There's 2 minutes left. They should get another over.
I think they will. It's where you are when you're about to start the over, isn't it? And I think it's in England's interest to want to get one in.
Yeah. They get 40 minutes off.
You doubt Pakistan is going to be throwing the bat at the last over before lunch, and we've seen enough from Don Best to encourage him and England that there may be something in it for him later, and he's bowled tightly.
What's the over rate been like today? Because yesterday it was fairly chronic. They were around 13. Yeah, they're around. Yeah.
We bowled 20 odd overs yesterday, didn't we? I can check on the scorecard. Oops.
I'm just looking to see if I can see the over rate. I can tell you there's 63 overs left in the day, but that doesn't really help with the over rate, does it?
No. 23 overs last night. So this is the 51st. So they've only lost bowling at 14 and over.
Best 14 is going to be in. And this one, well, what did I just say? They're not going to be looking to hit this. Shafiq has gone down on one knee, carted this over the onside for 6 runs. My goodness me. Well, it was not the best ball from Don Bess. He dropped it short. And Shafiq just, as I say, down onto one knee, and he just got everything in the kitchen sink behind that. Now, how does Don Bess respond? Much more air this time. And Shafiq is quite an aggressive drive. A few words with Johnny Bairstow behind the stumps.
I like the way he's tossed that up, man. I mean, that last ball, he's really giving it some, isn't he?
Well, good for him.
You don't often see that at international level, but I think, even the best players...
He has just been carted away, and this one is, again, back to pushing it through, but on a good length. And Shafiq is comfortably behind it, but certainly not going to be thinking about whacking that into the grandstand.
I mean, you're pretty much on a second morning of a test match, you're on a hiding to nothing. The pitch isn't going to be very helpful, so you might as well try everything. And your captain's
he dropped it short. If you look how far forward Asad Shafiq was, and he literally got hold of everything there. It was 3 or 4 rows back into the mound stand, actually, wasn't it? He's coming around the wicket is Don Bess, and that's pushed away to mid-on. They take a very sharp single. Joe Root was in, shying at the stumps. I think they would have been safe anyway.
I don't think that's particularly... I wouldn't be going around the wicket if there's nothing in the wicket.
No. 136 anyway. 136 for 3. We're in the 51st over, and we should now, as the clock ticks around to 1 o'clock, this should be the last over before luncheon. Barbara Azam is facing Don Bess. Don Bess is still coming around the wicket, and he forces Barber just to play that slightly on the back foot, and back to the bowler, no run. 48 runs behind, 136 for 3. Heavily bandaged left hand, hasn't he, Don Bess? Now Joe Root is, he's certainly making sure there won't be any more, because he's making a few field changes, chewing pensively. The man with quite a lot to think about at the moment, I think, Joe Root, for more than one reason. He's coming back over the wicket is Bess, as he's bowling to Barber, and that one is clipped away, beats the man at short mid-wicket, but not the man at mid-on, and there's no run.
And that's it. That's lunch, isn't it?
And was that the end of it? It was.
Yeah, it was the end of it.
I think that 6 kind of threw a Spaniard into my works, and I wasn't quite sure where we stood. 136 for 3 at lunch, Pakistan, with 51 overs. They trail by 48.
86 runs and 2 wickets this session, over rate 13.3.
Barbara Azam on 8. Asad Shafiq on 28. If I just give you the wickets to fall this morning.
I can do that. I've got the scorecard up here.
Okay, you want to do that?
Yeah, I'll do that. Azhar Ali was LBW, bowled Anderson. Harris Howell was the first wicket to go, though, caught behind Boldwood, Bairstow. He was out for 39 off 95, and Azhar Ali, LBW, Anderson, 50 off 136. They were doing 2 wickets to fall. Asad Shafiq is not out on 28 or 44. He's going quite well. Babra Azam is not out 8 or 15. He lunched. The bowling figures are Jimmy Anderson, 11 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 26. Stuart Broad, 13 overs, 6 maidens, 1 for 26. Mark Wood for 12 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 25. So the wicket's been shared around. But Ben Stokes, 9 overs, 3 maidens, none for 29. And Don Best, just 6 overs, no maidens, none for 23. But I think he's bowled all right. He's been quite expensive. Well, that 6 didn't do him any favours, but I quite liked what I've seen.
So it's going to be a big half hour after lunch again, isn't
yes.
it? So it's a big half hour. If England can get an early wicket or 2 straight after lunch, they will feel they are still in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
The number of when a team has had a first innings lead at Lords, they very rarely lose historically in Test matches.
Yes, I can imagine. But if they can keep them down to a lead, I mean, it could be quite a low-scoring Test match, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of this sort of weather around for the next couple of days as well. I mean, if they can, optimistically, if they can keep them down to 250, I mean, obviously you'd like a collapse, but that'd be a 66 run deficit.
I think tomorrow, I think we're broadly going to be okay weather-wise until potentially later in the day, which for selfish reasons I'll be very happy with.
I don't think it's going to be sunny though, is it? It's still be quite overcast, and it is quite humid, so it'll still be good, quite good for
Sunday
bowling.
Promises a bit of rain, and all clear by Monday if Monday's needed.
Yeah.
Now, how are we doing for tweets just before we head into?
Yeah, we better romp through a few. Pillsbury Atta wants to know why Headingley doesn't get games in high-profile Test series, as she thinks it's the best wicket for Test in England. There's something in that.
Always swings a lot. I remember overcast conditions.
Julia Long thinks that England have been chasing the game right from the outset. Pity the poor old buggers at Lords are having to sit through this shit. I think that's a bit harsh. I think it's been a reasonable morning's cricket.
We should also say the second Test is at Headingley.
Oh well, there we are then.
Yes, it is.
Christopher White has said, really rather enjoying listening to Guerilla Cricket for the first time.
Fantastic. Welcome along, Christopher.
Does rather sound like a bunch of mates chatting about cricket on telly in the pub, occasionally interspersed with some amusing jingles.
That's
basically what we are.
But we do give you what's happening.
What else have we got here? Darkest Peru. Hello, everyone. I'm taking part in an all-day email meeting today. That sounds absolutely riveting.
All-day email meeting.
Jesus, that sounds horrific.
Absolutely. Nestle Boy is someone should tell Joe Root that we can still see his silly golden badge.
I haven't seen this golden badge. I haven't been looking for it.
Jeff Perkins is going on about crossover. Maybe cricketers could also play the 100.
There's a dig. There's a dig.
Matt Searle says, can someone stick the Babar jingle in the archive, please?
Yeah, so I've got... sorry, I've been really remiss because we've bloody been up all night over winter. So I don't think the last time I did an archive upload was just before we started the Ashes. There's a lot of jingles. No, nothing.
Colin de Grandon's not in there, is he?
No, nothing since pretty much mid-November last year is in there. So I do have to sit down. There's an awful lot I've got to upload in terms of that. It takes me a few days to get around.
A bit of homework for the bear.
And then finally, Deepesh Sharma says, while the whole world was busy playing IPL, Pakistan were toiling the nets in Europe, more than bowling. It's the batting that surprised me.
Well, not just not toiling in the nets. They were playing proper, sensible, hard-fought, quality warm-up games, including a Test match. They haven't come into this half-baked. They've come into it fit, ready and prepared.
Absolutely.
And good luck to them. That's how it should be.
Absolutely. They look right on the money, actually.
And, I mean, you have to say, it kind of looks good for Ireland on that aspect, doesn't it? I mean, if Ireland can be a warm-up game for every major Test nation, they're going to be playing some decent Test matches.
I'd buy that. I would take that if I was there for now. Anyway, it is our lunchtime. I'm getting peckish. Shall we play a theme tune and catch you all after lunch?
Well, we're going to go to Ireland versus Pakistan. In fact, the 5th day. Well, we were over in Malahide, and we'll see you in about 35 minutes or so.
The IPL playoffs, not sure. We'll get back to you on that one.
We will indeed, and it's our pleasure to welcome onto Guerilla Cricket Richard Holdsworth, who is the High Performance Director of Irish Cricket. Welcome along. We're performing something of a pincher movement on you, as me from one side and Tony from the other. What do you make of the match situation so far? I mean, this morning it's been exciting stuff, hasn't it?
Oh, 100%. No, it's been an incredible start this morning. Obviously, we would have liked to have got another 20 or 30 runs, maybe got up to the 200 lead mark. Wasn't to be. Shame to lose Kevin so early. But look, I think the boys would definitely be confident that 160 is still, a decent chase. Wicket starting to do a few things, a couple of balls keeping a bit lower. Guys have got to bowl outstandingly, and then obviously they came on and did bowl outstandingly for those first few overs, and to get them 3 down with very few on the board. Could have done with breaking this partnership before lunch, but look, I guess a bit of a break now, freshen up, come out after lunch, try and break this partnership, and then look, who knows? We've seen plenty of fourth innings in Test cricket where a low score has been a real struggle. Look, let's hope it's our day again today.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, I suppose we need to remain neutral here on Guerilla Cricket, but I suspect we've got a little bit of a feeling for Ireland. Now, let's talk about your role, High Performance Director. What does a High Performance Director actually do? What are you responsible for?
All things cricket.
Right, all things cricket.
Well, look, as I'm sure your listeners will be aware, we're a small organisation still. There's probably most people in the organisation that probably do 3 jobs than their title might otherwise suggest. But look, for me, my role is to oversee the men's and women's senior programmes, everything that happens through the pathway from the Wolves team, our A teams and women's A teams down through the academy, through to our international junior sides. When I came, it was pretty much solely my role. And after a couple of years of increasing our funding, increasing our programs, we managed to pull in some more staff. I know you spoke with Peter Johnston, our academy manager, earlier in the test, and he now oversees that academy, which is fantastic, and he's got some coaching staff and support staff around that as well. So I have to do less work around that, but ultimately oversee all of that and make sure that it's connected in with what we're doing at all senior levels. So it's very important that Graham Ford and his plans are being complemented throughout the pathway, and the same with Aaron Hamilton as well, who I know you spoke with earlier for the women's programme, that all of that is connected throughout the pathway, and that we're trying to produce players and identify talent, develop that talent to ensure that we've got the right cricketers, the right skill sets, filling the right gaps, having a succession plan with both our men's and women's senior teams. So I oversee all that process. A lot of structures and pieces of the jigsaw that have to be put together. When I arrived, we had no academy. We had a huge gap in the pathway in terms of how we're developing players for international cricket. So we had to put that together, find some funding to be able to create those structures. Bring in the right people, make sure we've got some better facilities to train on, and ensure these guys are getting ready for international cricket. Similarly, we had a huge gap without any domestic first-class competitions. We literally had players playing club cricket on a weekend, and then on Thursday, well, we got a one-day international against Australia. Best of luck, chaps, and great preparation for that. Now, whilst there was some great stuff going on, and I should at this point say that our club cricket is improved dramatically. We've got Premier Leagues now in all 4 provincial unions, and it's very competitive, but there's still a huge gulf between that and international cricket. We're very aware of that. So what can we do to fill that gap? And one of the things was we need a best versus best of those living in Ireland. We obviously had a number playing county cricket across the ditch, and that's great for their development, but we needed to have our own first-class structure. We can't keep relying on ECB to help develop our players, and so we created that first-class structure. We put a a very good application to ICC for some a program they called Targeted Assistance and Performance Program, which gave us the funding in the first couple of years to run that and run it professionally. It's no good just saying, well, let's have the best be the best playing against each other. Actually, you need to back that up with coaching staff. You need to have a bit of sports science. We needed programs for these guys to strengthen condition. We needed a physio there. We need administration behind it. So the provincial unions have upskilled hugely. We've now very much handed that over to them in terms of responsibility. Warren may well have spoken, Chief Executive.